I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our second live. You guys, tonight, we're promising you to give you our best. I'm not going to say it's going to be the greatest show you've ever seen, but Sabrina and I, we're going to do our best. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a little bit of Bigfoot. I got a Bigfoot story for you. But we're going to go outside the box when it comes to cryptids, okay? I'm going to hopefully introduce you to a new one, maybe two. But we're going to talk about a couple of other ones. When you guys think of cryptid, you think of what? Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Dogman. Other ones, Mothman, stuff like that. We're going to bring a couple. Actually, we're going to bring three to you. That, hopefully we will broaden your horizon when it comes to cryptids. So before we get this bad boy started, if anybody out there watching live or the replay, you guys, if you had an account and you'd like to come on the show, email me at the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. Again, the cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. And I do have a channel membership for $2.99 that'll get you a early access to a Saturday release episode. Other than that, who's ready to hear about some of these cryptids?
Me.
You are? How you been, by the way?
I've been really good.
Yeah?
Staying busy doing, springtime things, but I'm hanging in there. How have you been?
Good. Had a very you're like one of two people that know how exciting my day was.
Yes.
And it's not going to be live next Wednesday, you guys, but I have a very special interview. Oh, I'm telling you, this was on like one of the top 3 people I wanted to get in my I'm off my bucket list to meet. So that's what we're gonna do. Here we go. Welcome to the Cryptid Podcast. You guys, we are gonna talk about sheep squatch. That's right. You heard it. Sheep squatch. Okay. So I know Sabrina's laughing. And when I heard it, I heard about this just a couple days ago. So here we go, you guys. Here we go. The sheep squatch, also known as the white thing, is a woolly-haired cryptid reported across numerous counties in West Virginia, predominantly within the southwestern region of the state. The counties with the most sightings are Boone, Kanawha, Putnam, and Mason County, with surges in sightings taking place in Boone County during the mid-1990s. I want to hear more about the screaming scarecrow. Oh, I'll have her tell that story, I promise you, in this live. So the description of this sheep squatch is described as being a quadruped. It walks on all fours, you guys. That's a $10 word. I only have a $5 education, so it's about the size of a bear with its entirely white wool-like fur. It has a long and pointed head, similar to that of a dog, but with long saber-like teeth and a single set of pointy horns like the ones found on a young goat. Its forelimbs end in paw-like hands similar to those of a raccoon, but a lot larger. While it does have a tail, its tail is long and hairless like that of a possum. It is reputed to smell like sulfur, which has been attributed to the folklore of the beast being born within the TNT area in Mason County, like one of the Mothman theories. Though it is not likely and instead it may have a musk scent gland similar to that found in weasels or skunks. Some sightings that I have here that have been reported in 1994. A former Navy seaman said he had witnessed the beast breaking through the forest. The white thing breached the brush line and knelt to drink at a creek. Here, it drank for a few minutes before crossing the creek and continued on towards the nearby road. The witness stated that he observed the animal for a while before it moved on into the surrounding brush. Within the same year, 2 children observed the creature while playing in their yard within Boone County. What they reported having observed looked like a large white bear, yet in this case it stood up on its hind legs, making it look well over 6 feet tall. Presumably, it did so in manner similar to a bear trying to observe, as opposite by walking bipedally. So they're saying it looks like it just stood up like a bear would. It startled by the children. The beast ran off into the forest, breaking medium-sized limbs off of trees in its path. The following year, in 1995, the creature was then next spotted, this time by a car. A couple driving through Boone County observed a large white beast sitting in the ditch alongside the roadway. As many curious passerbys might do in such a situation, they stopped their car to get a better look. They claim to describe the creature again as mostly similar to the earlier descriptions. Yet they did add that the creature had 4 eyes, in stark contrast of the last sighting of the sheep squatch fled the scene. The creature leapt out of the ditch and started to attack the car. Frightened by the attack, the couple drove off quickly, and once they arrived back to their home, they noticed large scratches on the side of the car where the beast had attacked it. The next reported sighting was in 1999, and it involved a couple of campers who were in the forest at night, again in Boone County. They were around a bonfire. They eventually heard an animal snorting and scuffing around the camp in a manner similar to that of an agitated bear. Though it did not come into the light of a campfire immediately, all of a sudden the sheep squatch suddenly charged out of the darkness at the campers. Reacting quickly, they jumped up and ran back into the house. I assume it was their tent. And while being pursued by the sheep squatch, giving chase is a natural reaction to a predator. They said that they could have been mock charged. The white thing stopped at the edge of the forest when they crossed it and let out a terrible scream, and then turned around and headed back into the woods. The next morning, the campers returned to their campsite, and the trail home, they found it all tore up. They realized that it looked like someone had tilled up their garden. So they must have been not too far away from the house when they ran home. So that's what I'm attributing to that. In 2015, in Folks Run, Virginia, the beast was spotted once again in the forest of the Appalachia. The creature was spotted close to midnight by 6 campers spending the night in the dense woods. The beast was reportedly 8 to 9 feet tall with a shoulder height of roughly 4 to 5 feet. One of the campers first saw the beast at the top of a nearby hill in a crouching position. Then it stood up, and he alerted the other campers. Then it started running down the steep hill towards the campers, but they were separated by a river that was flowing through. They looked in horror as it searched for a way to cross, and with no other options, began to wade through the river. It finally came out of the water, and the campers reported that it appeared to be a bipedal dog in the chest, which, with its wet fur from crossing the river. With a loud gut-based screech, was heard about 2 miles off where they were at. Then the sheep squatch looked up in shock, just high enough so the moonlight could shine on its face. The campers um, looked on in fear as it let out a pathetic whimper. Then then in a sprint ran to the opposite direction of the noise. The campers quickly packed and left, then reported to local law enforcement, fearing that the authorities needed to be informed. They were also afraid to be ridiculed. They identified the identity of the campers are unknown. So that's pretty much about what I have of the deep squatch and some of the the pictures that I'd seen. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Honest. Seriously. Again, I'm not saying this is real, and I'm also not saying that it's not real, but okay, I want you guys to go out there and look for an armadillo squatch. Okay, like for real.
For
Again,
real?
I mean, this is but see, this is folklore. This isn't something that someone just Okay, Curtis, you grew up and heard sight years ago, but haven't heard. So you have heard about the sheep squatch. Curtis in chat says he grew up 15 minutes from Boone County.
That's crazy. I've never personally heard of this thing in my life, and I'm Appalachian born, and I don't know. It's escaped me apparently all of these years.
No, again, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, but a sheep squatch. I mean, I guess they can probably come up with that name because of the description: white, woolly type fur. So it's a sheep mixed with a dog, mixed with a goat, then mixed with raccoons. Oh, it's a man bear pig. There you go. Come on, guys. It's a man bear pig, guys. Come on. So what do you guys think? Do you think the goat man and the sheep squatch are one and the same? I had seen something about that could potentially be similar. But from everything that I've been reading, and did you say you had something about sheep squatch or?
Yeah, I found what I found was like really, the basics of, they are sheep squatch and they have like the big burly body, 8 to 9 foot tall, the Bigfoot, the sharp teeth. I've heard mixed encounters of Bigfoot having either blunt or sharp teeth. Again, we don't know if this is real, if it's just lore. It is Appalachian lore. One thing I read, it had the thick white wool hair, but it had a tail, and the tail had no hair on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of theories were talking about that it had been in like a leftover, I wrote a note, a leftover area where World War II chemicals had been. So there was like a lot of theories about this thing either being like something that was messed up by these chemicals, or that they contributed that to the sulfur smell of just really weird things when this thing was around. But I did find a really short lore about it, but they do call it the white one. They were talking about how it's territorial and drives out bad spirits, bad people, hellhounds, etc. But the tale was allegedly in Logan County, West Virginia in the 90s, which seemed to be the time frame where a lot of these encounters came from. And there was a short story that the white one came down the holler after a man named Old Ben, who had tried witching the preacher's land over a dispute. That night, Old Ben's dogs howled all night, and he could not figure out what was going on. And the next morning, his barn was ripped to shreds like a tin can, but all of his sheep were huddled together inside the barn unharmed.
Mm.
So I don't know. That's some weird.
Yeah. Chris, yeah, that's for sure. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to put on there. That's the one. Oh, come on. Listen, you're spamming me. There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe Goatman is its own cryptid for
Mhm.
real.
Agreed.
Yep. And then Steamboat said that he had a pterodactyl fly over his house twice the other night. And he's in are you still in East Texas or are you back in Arkansas? So,
Sure, it wasn't a Thunderbird.
well, it could be. Again, but again, the things that I've seen about Thunderbirds are they look nothing like a pterodactyl. Like that one thing I posted on the group,
Oh, that's right.
that was obviously a pterodactyl. But again, people said, "Oh,
Yes.
that was AI or whatever." That video has been around way before
Way.
AI ever came out. So, but
That was a neat one too.
yeah, like for sure. So, I mean, when you guys see things like that, send them my way.
Mhm.
If you can post it on the Facebook group, the Cryptid Podcast Facebook group, our admin will look at it and they'll put it on there. But yeah, Steamboat, we need to know more. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
I didn't get
agreed.
pictures. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to take. I believe you, man. I believe you. So yeah, I definitely love to see one of those because here's the
Mhm.
thing: they believe in the Congo that there are full blown dinosaurs still walking around in the Congo.
Yep.
And that's no, thank you.
I don't know if
So
you've ever heard of the little off topic, but with the dinosaurs, I don't know if you've ever heard of the center of the earth theory, Agartha.
yeah, I've heard of that, but I never really got into it.
That's a big thing. I believe that 100%. Like if you've ever seen like the children's movie Ice Age where they go underneath the ice and it's like
Yeah,
literally like a mass, I believe in that 100%.
yeah, that'd be so cool.
I
Just think
know.
about that. Um, Also, if you guys, what was I gonna say? Oh, I just saw a video last night, and I'm gonna see if I can find it again. Um, it shows like someone shooting a video of like their security camera or like the ring cam or something. Like it's a really clear picture, and then it shows something like run through the tall grass in the backyard, and like, did you see it? And then they slowed it down, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it's probably AI, but what I saw looked like a velociraptor
I'm out.
or something smaller. You guys have seen Jurassic Park. What were the little dinosaurs? Not they weren't raptors, but they were smaller than them, but they were aggressive little suckers.
They
And
were
they
the
were
ones
probably
that
like maybe chest high. But
the
yeah,
ones that ate the guy at the waterfall?
maybe.
Or are you thinking
Maybe.
about the big spiny one that shot
No, not the
like
big spiny one.
not that one?
These ones look like they had feathers.
Copies?
Yes, yeah, okay, there, yeah, copies. I think that's what they're called. Yeah. And it ran and you literally saw the profile of it before because there was like a little break in the grass and it just ran from right to left. No, thank you.
No,
I'd
thank
sit
you.
up on my house and try to shoot it for real. But all right.
Phew.
So you are going to cover which one do you want to do first?
I can do Batsquatch.
Yeah, you guys, Batsquatch. Who's heard of Batsquatch? Now, again, you guys, we're here to have fun. We're here to have a good time. I'm gonna tell you right now, I full-heartedly believe in cryptids. I really, honestly do. And we may be chuckling about these and bringing up some of the encounters because to me they sound so far-fetched, but people are actually seeing these
Yep.
things. So, again, if you have multiple people in different parts of the country, um, you know, what are you to do? What are you to do with it? So
Right.
I've heard of Batsquatch before. When I heard about it, I started laughing. I'm like, come on, you guys, there is a lot. I've got like 4 pages of stuff here on Batsquatch. Like, I'm holy smokes.
You have so much more than me though. I do not have that much.
Well, I mean, I have some stuff. I mean, again, like I said, I have a couple of encounters, but yeah, definitely go ahead and let's hear about the Batsquatch.
All right, so the Batsquatch. So the stories of the Batsquatch emerged in the Pacific Northwest, particularly around Mount St. Helens. They are basically, I'm assuming from the reports that have been given out, are Bigfoot, but with wings. They are 8 to 9 foot. They have fur, but allegedly the fur is blue, purple, or dark black. I'm not so sure how I feel about blue or purple, but it is possible. You never know. But you know how black sometimes has that like blue sheen in the, typical kind of light. They are said to have glowing yellow eyes, claws on their hands and their feet, and they also have an odor of sulfur. The theories of these are it was awoken after the volcano actually erupted, so that is when most sightings were seen. A few of the sightings happened in 1994, 1999, with the last one that I could find being 2009. One of the encounters was they were being stalked by a winged growling creature while they were camping, and it let off a horrible high shriek while they were camping. And then one encounter said that it attacked his truck while he was driving. So I guess he was driving and it actually jumped on his truck, kept the speed with his truck, and just absolutely tore it to bits while he was driving and then hopped off and ran away. The theories that I had seen about it were that it was some kind of government experiment, an interdimensional being, and a misidentified demon monster.
Yep, I've heard the same thing. Yes,
Crazy.
yes, I have heard of Bat Boy. It was, remember, like World Weekly News. I think that's what the name. It was one of those gossip crap magazines where it was kind of like a printed version of The Onion. You've ever heard of that? Like that website called The Onion. It's all just absolute gibberish and
Oh yeah,
nonsense
the
stories.
fake news. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So this is kind of what. Well, yeah, the Inquisitor or something like that. Yeah. And
yeah.
it's like Bat Boy joins the military to go over to Afghanistan and fights Osama bin Laden. It's so dumb. Some of the things are so dumb. I mean, it just gets ridiculous. But I was fascinated with Bat Boy when I was in the military and a little younger. But I got some other stuff regarding Batsquatch. So in 2009 near Mount Shasta, and we all know Mount Shasta
Hmm.
is like a magnet for high strangeness and weirdness. Several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leathery wings. They're saying spanning 50 feet.
What?
I don't believe that big, but it was flying out of a crevasse in the mountains. At first, the eyewitness described the creature as having a head similar to a pterodactyl. However, upon reconsideration, the witness claimed that there was more akin to a flying fox or a bat. So I don't think that he saw a bat squatch. What I think he might have saw, quite possibly, is a pterodactyl.
That's very cool.
Maybe even a thunderbird, but the thunderbirds don't have wings like bats. So it
They have
could
like
very
more
well.
feathery, like
Yeah,
long bird. Gotcha.
from what I understand.
Yeah.
So and then in 2011, a gentleman named Phoenix was in his yard walking with his dog. He went to pick up his dog when he saw something in the sky. He said the following: "I saw something flying in the sky. It had bat wings, bluish fur, and a face similar to eyes glowing red. It was about 9 feet tall, at least. I watched it for a while, and then it flew away." April 14th, 2014. Archbishop Hoban, at Archbishop Hoban High School in Akron, Ohio,
Oh.
a second period Spanish class spotted a giant black mass zip by the window of the classroom at an incredible speed. The class claimed that it was about 9 feet tall and had a wingspan of 20 to 30 feet. Again, I don't know about that overall wingspan because again, I'm not there to see it, but you have an entire class that's
Yeah.
witnessing this. And Kristen, you're correct. It does sound
Mhm.
like Mothman. Oh, that's who we're getting to next.
Yeah.
But and there are similarities. It was stated that this cryptid, and another one that Sabrina's going to cover, uh, they're all they're
Weirdly
almost
similar.
yeah, they're all weirdly similar. Thunderbirds are Native American folklore that could make tornadoes happen and would take
Mhm.
people. Yep, I've heard that too.
Yep.
Um, so let's go in. You know what? Let's go ahead and hear your friend's great grandma's story.
Okay.
Let's hear that one, and then we'll get to the next one. Who's ready? You guys, if you haven't seen that episode, what did I call it? The living scarecrow or something
I
like
think
that.
so. I think so.
If you guys haven't gone and watched that one, after she tells the story, please go back and watch that one. Give it a like.
Yeah.
Let's help out the channel. I'm trying to grow something amazing here for you guys. I love doing this. I'm telling you guys, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I was getting burnt out. I really was. I felt like it was becoming a job. And I always said, when this started to feel like it was becoming a job, I was just going to quit, because I don't want this to be a job. I want this to just be, I enjoy talking with you guys. I love it. And so, what I'm doing is I'm cutting back. I'm no longer going to be releasing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. How about the Otter Man? Yeah, the Kushtaka. Absolutely.
Mhm.
But so I'm gonna be doing I'm probably gonna be doing for sure a Wednesday. I'm no longer gonna be doing a Monday, but I'm gonna be doing I'll be doing a Wednesday release and then probably a Friday release. I still have to think about it. But definitely, if I can swing it, I will be doing a Saturday night live uh, podcast for everybody. So we'll try to get that going.
Mhm.
And other than that, Sabrina, let's hear that story. And you know what? I'm gonna do this so I can sit back and enjoy it. Ready?
You're ready.
Let's
Okay.
go.
So I actually have another part to the story that I haven't told you yet that she told me the other day. It's not exactly from her great grandmother, but it's from her aunt. Same area. But so this was my best friend's story from her great great grandmother, or her great grandmother, sorry. So this happened in about the 50s to 60s. It was before her mom was born, and her great grandmother lived in Hell for Certain, Kentucky. So I'm talking, top of the mountain ridge. You can only get up there by known family associations. If you're not connected, you are going to get the boot. You are not supposed to be up here. She lived in an old trailer at the top of the mountain. She was a midwife. Her husband worked third shift, and they had multiple weird encounters, things up there. One being Bigfoot. But at one point, I believe it was the fall, she had these weird encounters while her husband was at work. And so she was a midwife, like I said, and she had children in this particular part of her trailer. Sometimes, whoever she was babysitting, whoever she was taking care of, and she would hear these bangs on the side of the trailer. And it happened for a couple of nights, and she would, think, like, what's, just anything, the wind, or you never know. So she would take a peek, nothing would ever be there. Well, after like around the third night, I believe, she started hearing this scratching noise, and the banging and the scratching always ended up around the same window of her trailer. And so finally, I guess one night she heard the scratching noise and she had just had enough, and she waited by this window. So as she heard the scratching, she opened the window, and there stood a scarecrow. And it always gives me like the heebie-jeebies, I think about it. And she said it looked just like a regular scarecrow that you would see in the field. She said it had the hat and that you could see the straw coming out. And she said that it saw her look at it through the window, and it threw its arms up in the air and gave off this horrible banshee screech. And then it just kept waving its arms and took off into the cornfield, still screaming. And that was just the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life, I think. Just
Tell them about the Bigfoot experience.
so I think this was before the scarecrow, but again, so they had weird activity going on, and they started hearing these screams at night, different kind of screams, nothing like the banshee, I guess, but different screams, weird howls and grumbles. And it was a Bigfoot. And they, you didn't have any kind of word for it back then, unless it was like the grass man or wood boogers back in the day. And her great grandpa was just so mad at this thing for screaming night after night, and waking him up before he would go to work, or she would tell him about it and she was tired of hearing it. And I guess one night, through the window above their kitchen sink, he saw this thing, and it was behind this big bush, and it was just kind of creeping and peeking and just making these awful sounds. And he was so mad, so I guess he opened up the back door, took a shot off at it, and I guess he hit it, and it made this awful noise, and he wanted to go out there and see it, and she was yelling at him like, don't you dare go out there, it's the middle of the night, you can't see, no lights back in those times like that. And so he stayed inside, I guess. Next morning he goes out, and there's just a little bit of blood where I guess he shot this thing and it ran off. Well, years later, he passed away, and one night she heard this big bang on her front door, and she kind of cracked it and looked, and she said that, and I don't know if this was the same one or a different one, but she said there was another Bigfoot on her front porch, and it had its back to her at the front door, but it was sitting there, and it had its head in its hands, and it was like mock crying, or I don't know if it could have actually been crying, but she said she just stared at it for a little bit, it stopped crying, and it got up and just walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I know. I've been trying so hard to get her. So her aunt was supposed to take us there, but she recently moved to Texas, and we were supposed to do like a girls' day trip last year, and we didn't get to go. But that's when she told me, she was like, so much weird stuff happens when you're up there. And I was like, okay, so tell me like another story. And we were talking recently, and she said that one night she went up there by herself, and her name is Debbie, and Debbie just does not give a hoot. She is balls of brass for a woman. She just does not care. And I guess she went up on top of this mountain for, just a weekend to get away and, spend time on family lands. So she parked her truck by this old cemetery, she said. She slept in the back of the truck with like no cover, no nothing on the top of this truck. And she said that she woke up to this light above her. And she swears on everything that she is. She said she woke up to an angel above her.
What?
Yeah. She said it literally looked like a biblical angel, like a person in a long flowing gown and had like the wings and things like that. And then I guess after a few seconds, and I mean, like she said, it was like fast, like seconds, and then it just it was gone.
That's, you guys, I love stories like that. I really do. Cause my mother-in-law, she told me that her father-in-law, so my father-in-law's dad, he was born he was born and died in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
So the house that he was born in, he lived in it his entire life. It was a farm, and he was born in a room that was right off the kitchen, and that's the same room that he passed away in.
Oh.
And he was laying there, and everybody was kind of standing vigilance over him. And she looked up, and she looked out the window, and she saw an angel standing there. And when from what I understand, when he took his last breath, the angel went away.
Oh man!
And to me, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because he was waiting to bring him home.
Yep.
It kind of gets me emotional. Okay, I'm gonna stop because
I know.
You guys, I have a what's the word, persona to uphold. I'm not soft. No. I don't get emotional. No. So let's jump into Mothman, and if you have anything, let me know.
All right.
So, you guys, we all have heard of Mothman. I mean, it's out there. I think they made a movie about it. And whenever anybody sees the Mothman, it's like the precursor to uh, either a death or some bad thing happening. So it was like there was a bridge that collapsed. And then people are saying, so remember when that barge or that boat or ship or whatever uh, ran into that bridge just recently? I want to say it was last year, and the whole bridge collapsed. I can't remember where that was at, but they're saying that someone saw Mothman flying away when that happened. Also, again, and this is found to be hoaxed, but people are saying during 9/11 that Mothman was seen flying
Really?
in this. Oh yeah, I've seen the doctored. Yeah, Baltimore. Thanks, Renee. I've seen the doctored photos. It's just dumb, but. So the state of West Virginia has had its fair share of strange and often inexplicable events, such as the visitation of the Flatwoods Monster, and I believe Curtis talked about that. And was it Inrid Cold? I don't know what that is. But perhaps the strangest yet is the arrival of a creature known as Mothman, which changed the sleepy little town of Point Pleasant forever when it swooped in one cold autumn night in 1966. Today, Mothman is one of the most well-known cryptids in the world, made famous partly by John Keel's book, later adapted to film, The Mothman Prophecies. I've never seen that movie.
I don't think I have either.
Mothman is also hunted in Mountain Monsters on Destination America. I've been to Point Pleasant many times.
Mhm.
Out in oh, see, it's cool that you mentioned that. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Joe Mama. So again, so the first one was November 12th, 1966, near Clendon, West Virginia. 5 men were in a cemetery preparing a grave for burial when they saw something they could not explain. Lifting off from a nearby tree was a brown-winged creature. The men held to the fact that what lifted off beyond the trees was no bird. In fact, it was a humanoid. And Joe Mama just mentioned the TNT area.
Yep.
The TNT area, the creature was sighted in many places across West Virginia and the surrounding states, but the largest number of sightings happened near the old West Virginia Ordnance Work, an area that is now known by locals as the TNT area. West Virginia Ordnance Works is an abandoned munition depot to the north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It dates back to World War II. The facility during its operation manufactured ammunition and dynamite. The surrounding area is mostly forest dotted with numerous grassy clearings, thick concrete domes called igloos that were used to store barrels of gunpowder. The area is also riddled with abandoned tunnels, most of which have collapsed, been sealed off, or become flooded with water. A wildlife sanctuary, McClintock Wildlife Management, now encompasses the area. Since 1979, fishermen in the TNT area reported the chemicals had been left to seep into the pond, causing it to be labeled as an environmental disaster. In 1983, the TNT area was among the country's most polluted sites. It was here in the TNT area on a cold night, November 15th, 1966, 3 days after the first sighting took place, 2 young couples would encounter this bizarre creature. Roger and Linda Scarberry were driving in Roger's black 57 Chevy Bel Air with Steve and Mary Millette through the area around midnight when Linda noticed unbelievably 2 large glowing eyes in the darkness beside the Old North Power Plant and screamed. They soon learned that these eyes belonged to something that looked quite frankly human, about 7 feet tall with wings folded against its back. Roger stalled in the road for a minute, inspecting the strange creature. The four realized immediately that their spectacle was no ordinary bird. The true horror began when the creature spread its wings and pursued them down Highway 62 to the Point Pleasant city limits at speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. The four arrived in town startled and confused, with no sign of the mysterious bird that had chased them. Roger parked his car at the edge of town, and they discussed their encounter, eventually deciding that what they had seen was nothing more than a bird. And in the attempt to face their fears, they again drove towards the TNT area. No, thank you. It wasn't long before they saw the creature again, apparently waiting on them beside Route 62.
Mm.
The couples now realized that their stalker was no bird, but in the instant the car's headlights landed on the creature, it lifted vertically into the air with tremendous speed and disappeared above the tree line. This time, when they arrived in town, they went to the Mason County Courthouse and told their story to Sheriff George Johnson and Deputy Miller Halstead. 2 hours later, the police began investigating the area, only to return empty-handed. The next day, a press conference was held by the local press, the local press began printing a story, causing others to come forward with previous and future sightings. This was the major event that started it all. In the November 16th issue of Point Pleasant Register, the strange encounter would be brought to the public eye with the headlines, "Couple sees man-sized bird, creature, something." I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm going to look for that, print out, and then blow it up and then frame it and hang it on my wall. That'd be awesome to have.
Yeah.
The strange encounter in the TNT area was a harrowing experience for everyone involved. And on the morning of November 16th, 1966, Linda was rushed to the hospital by her father after experiencing a nervous breakdown. On the phenomenon, Roger stated, "I'm a hard guy to scare, but last night I was for getting out of there." I mean, he wanted to bounce out of that area. So there have been continuing sightings. It says this creature has been seen throughout the next 13 months in Point Pleasant, and it was estimated that there were over 100 sightings this time. Although these are unconfirmed reports and the actual numbers are of confirmed sightings may be quite a bit lower, Mothman witnesses are also harassed by the men in black who wanted them not to speak about the creature. The strange sightings all seem to accumulate in the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15th, 1967. Many similar cryptids and creatures have been seen worldwide. The sightings are similar to Mothman in many ways, including the fact that most of them seem to be heralds for imposing disasters. Some of the places Mothman or its fellows have visited include a mine in Freiburg, Germany, where a Mothman-type creature scared miners away shortly before it collapsed. Another notable visit. Does anybody know another notable visit? Like, it's way out there, if anybody knows. Chernobyl.
Really?
Yeah. It says another notable visit was to the nuclear power plant at Chernobyl, where a creature haunted the families for a while before the famous nuclear reactor melted down. This is before the meltdown. There was also 2 Mothman pictures taken in New York on 9/11 and multiple sightings before the Minnesota River the 35W Minnesota River Bridge collapse. Okay, now you guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm in Minnesota. I worked in downtown Minneapolis, like 8 blocks from that bridge collapse. And if I rode a bus northbound, I could have very well been on that bridge. My bus could have been on that bridge when it collapsed, but I lived south of the rivers. So, and after this, I'll tell you a story about that and just on how impactful this is, because my mom is from West Virginia. And so I'll tell you guys. Okay. Some believe that the Mothman tries to warn people about disasters about to happen, such as the Freiburg and Chernobyl sightings listed above. However, since there only seems to be one Mothman instead of a bunch of his kind, and since he seems rather paranormal, these sightings are not much interesting to cryptozoologists who want to discover a new kind of creature. Okay, well, I wouldn't say... I mean, I think everybody who loves the cryptid stuff, like Joe Mama said, you know, Mothman is like a huge... Mothman's right up there with Bigfoot. And actually, to me, I think Dogman is a relatively new cryptid, like probably in the last, maybe 40 years, 50 years.
I don't know.
Does Mothman wear pants? You know, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think any of these cryptids wear pants. They're Porky Pig in it. That's what they're doing. But so the description from Logan, West Virginia. Hey, what's up there, Atkin? Atkins. So you guys, here's what Mothman is described as: bipedal, winged humanoid. Despite his name, which is given him by newspapers, he is in no way, shape, or form moth-like. You know, it kind of makes me think like this. Who's seen that movie Jeepers Creepers? Okay. Now, I'm not saying his face looks like that, but the wings, that kind of... Yeah. That kind of... that's the vision I get of Mothman. You know? So, that's freaking scary, dude. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't want that chasing after my car at 100 miles an hour. That's for sure.
Nope.
No.
A lot of people say that his appearance is more like that of a large humanoid owl. His coloration varies from black, gray, to even brown, although it is usually the darker shades. He's often reported to be around 7 feet tall with a wingspan of 10 to 15 feet, possibly more, plus the ability to fly at speeds of over 100 miles an hour. Sometimes he's described as not having a head, but 2 large, huge red eyes set in his chest. These eyes are reported to be glowing or at least reflective. The details of his face and his feet have never been adequately described. One witness who saw the face clearly could say that the details were horrible and monstrous. She had terrible nightmares and nearly suffered a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
They say anyone who gets a close look at Mothman seems to suffer from extreme fear, psychological distress, sometimes lasting for months or years afterwards. In particular, people say that they sense pure evil. It overcomes them when they see the Mothman's eyes. He can fold his wings and walk with a weird shuffle that many people describe as a penguin. When he flies, he unfolds his wings and shoots straight up with great speed, then levels out to wherever he wants to go. He is rarely observed flapping his wings. Sorry about that. He's rarely observed flapping his wings, except for when he takes off. Witnesses often describe his flight pattern as straight up, like a helicopter. He can fly much faster than any bird should be able to fly, as measured by those victims who suffered from what they seen to be Mothman's favorite activity, chasing cars. He'll fly in front of them and even sometimes hit the roof. Two Shawnee lores mention creatures closely resembling Mothman called the Misagwa and the Wape, respectively. And if I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. But I kind of have someone who's part of that. So he said they sounded fine. But anyway, in the legends of the Misogwe, the description of the Mothman is similar to Bigfoot. That's who the ceremonial dress is supposed to be that's used during the bread dance. The Wape legend is also similar in that it's part of a Shawnee lore, and it tells of a family of Native Americans who chose to become White Hawks living in the forest near Point Pleasant. Some believe that Mothman may be an angel, demon, or a product of a blood curse placed upon the town by Chief Cornstalk, who was murdered along with his son in the area. Similarly, the curse theory is one of the most attractive to the collapse of the Silver River or the Silver Bridge. And that's it for Mothman. So what do you guys' take on that? I mean, that's pretty. I'm never going to be the same after that screaming scarecrow. Here, it's funny that she mentioned that, Joe Mama, that when she mentioned that, what did I find?
You found, and I had been searching, I've known this story since around 2018, 2019, and I've done, as much research as I can looking at cryptids. The only thing I found was a Russian story about the boogeyman coming to take your children, which I thought was really neat because it was scratching at the window where the kids were. But then Daniel, literally within like a millisecond, he finds this thing, and it's about, I can't remember exactly where. Yeah, he found it, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but I was
right
like,
here.
It was to a T, and I was like, it was where Pennsylvania? Was it Pennsylvania?
Yes. So here is that cryptid lore out of Pennsylvania. It's known as, are you ready for this, Joe Mama? Type a 1 in the comments if you're ready. Shit, PA. Joe Mama, if you're ready for this scary scarecrow, hit a 1. She's not ready. I'm just going to do it anymore. Here we go. So, all right. So you guys, this folklore in Pennsylvania is called the goblin scarecrow. The goblin scarecrow. One of the neat things about the goblin scarecrow, from my perspective at least, is that it's pretty much all purpose as far as Pennsylvania Wilds is concerned. Now, I'm assuming PA Wilds is probably like a website. I think the same website I got it from. Originally seen in the dark skies landscape, it's since moved to the other areas. Other inhabiting Allegheny National Forest and surrounding Pine Creek Valley and the PA Grand Canyon and elk country as well. The thing seems to be inhabited 4 of the 6 landscapes, which makes it indigenous to the northern part of the PA Wilds. The goblin scarecrow is described as a demonic-looking scarecrow with tattered clothing stuffed with thousands of creepy, crawly insects. These are held together in the shape of a man by sheer demonic force of will. According to the book, it has gloves that form claws and a jack-o'-lantern for a head with features that can move and teeth can be seen to bite. Now, you guys, I found a picture of this. This is an artist rendition, and hopefully I don't get flagged for it, but I'm just going to show you for a second. And this is what it is.
It just gives me the creeps because that's literally exactly. I mean, she literally even said the straw was coming out, and
that's what it is. The first reported sighting of the goblin scarecrow was sometime in the 1950s in Potter County, though it's possible sightings go back even further. Some deer hunters saw the thing as they were out looking for game and wound up getting a bit more adventure than they had bargained for. The terrifying looking creature ran after them, giving a loud, long howl. They shot it, but the bullets had hardly any effect. The bullets passed through it, revealing worms and beetles inside it. The incident was reported almost 70 years ago. Since then, the creature has traveled throughout the state of Pennsylvania, sometimes being spotted as far south as Bucks County. In the Pennsylvania wilds, it seems to mostly stick around the northernmost part of the state. Sightings of the goblin scarecrow have been reported in McKean, Tioga, and Elk counties. At times, the goblin scarecrow chases and attacks people, and at other times it simply stands and screams its banshee howl before disappearing into the night.
And it kills me. Like, as soon as you first read that to me, I was like, man, because as soon as you were like the banshee scream, and that was one of the most notable details. She said it literally just gave off this awful shriek and then just ran into the corn. And it's like, you know, that's probably a little bit of a haul for that thing. But I mean, obviously, you know, she's an older woman. She's not going to lie about that kind of thing in the 50s and 60s, you know, for fear of ridicule. Her husband was at work. I'm sure she was absolutely terrified being up there by herself in the dark with, I don't know how many kids she had at that point in the being with her, but that's just, that's a no.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see that.
Nope. Hey, Renee, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate that. And then also, thank you for gifting a membership. I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, who is ready to hear? We're going to call it the English version of Mothman.
Right. So you probably still have more than me, but so the English version, it is British. It's the British counterpart to Mothman, so they call it the Owl Man. Oh goodness. Okay, so let's see. I don't have a date. I should have wrote more for this one, but the creature is a large bat-like creature again. So we're talking the same thing as Mothman and the Batsquatch, kind of just going off winged creatures here, but still, you know, very, very similar, which is, I think, is really neat to have such similar qualities to a cryptid, you know, over in the UK and then also here in the States. Like, that's just really neat to me to have that balancing, you know. But so large bat-like creature, glowing red or orange eyes have been seen. Body is covered in gray or brown feathers. So we're not just talking regular skin, it's actually got legitimate feathers. And the sounds that came from this thing from a few encounters were loud hissing and or screeching noises. The primary location is Mawnan, Cornwall, UK, around St. Mawnan and St. Stephen's Church. The locals had called the area spirit haunted long before the sightings, but the sightings had just increased the activity of, you know, people hoping to have an encounter and the encounters that actually did happen. One of the main encounters was a little girl who was in the area at the time, and she had seen this thing standing on the church, and then it just was staring at her and flew away. It seems like every encounter is around this St. Stephen's Church. The theories to this are it is a parallel to Mothman. Again, I think that's so neat that it's from the UK and then we have ours and it's, you know, correlates in the same aspects. I know some people try to say it was a giant owl or a misidentified bird. I don't think that's possible because they were talking about this thing being, again, 7 to 8 foot. Some aspects were supernatural entity, but some say it's either summoned or it's a being that protects the sacred land, which I think that's really neat as well. But that's all I have for that one. I'm sure you have more encounters you were able to find.
Yeah, I got a couple more. So from what I understand is that the first sighting took in 1976. That's what it took place. And you're right, in the village of Monin.
Mhm.
So a paranormal researcher by the name of Tony Doc Shields came forward claiming that he had investigated a report of two young girls. I think this is what you just mentioned on holiday in Monin, who saw a large winged creature hovering above the church tower on April 17th, 1976. Some stories vary, but most are consistent when it comes to what the girls dubbed the creature Owlman. On July 13th, 14-year-old Sally Chapman was camping with a friend, Barbara Perry, in the woods near the church. According to her account, she stood outside her tent. She heard a hissing sound and turned to see a figure that looked like an owl as big as a man with pointed ears and red eyes. The girls reported that the creature flew up into the air, revealing black pincher like claws. Um, Sightings of this figure continued to be reported the following day, as was described. It was also described as silvery gray. And on two occasions, 2 years later, in June and August of 1978, all within the vicinity of the church.
Mhm.
Because both of the 1970 sightings involved Doc Shields, an eccentric with a fondness for hoaxes. Researcher Jonathan Downs acknowledged that Shields could have invented the Owlman. However, Downs claims to have interviewed a young man whom we'll call Gavin, who encountered the Owlman in 1989 independently of Shields. Galvin and his girlfriend claimed to have seen the creature about 5 feet tall with legs. The legs had high ankles and the feet were large and black with two huge toes on the visible side. The creature was gray with brown, and the eyes definitely glowed. Now, here's something that I found really, really interesting is that in 1995, a female tourist from Chicago wrote to the Western Morning News in Truro, claimed to have seen a bird man with a ghastly face, a wide mouth, glowing eyes, pointed ears, as well as clawed wings.
That's so weird.
So, I mean, that's what that is.
I think it's also like really neat to me when you dive into, not just Mothman, not just, Owlman, any kind of like when you're going into Bigfoot as well, like any kind of spiritual or sacred ground, whether it be, indigenous where natives lay, or whether it's a church or any kind of graveyard. I find it really interesting that you have these kind of encounters with these cryptids of different genres almost, and that just really piques my interest that they all seem to be doing or around the same kind of areas.
Yeah, like for real. I mean, and you hear so many different stories, you know. Like I'm getting ready to talk about one that's from Tennessee and happened in 1997. But Curtis mentioned, and I think I had mentioned it earlier, something. What did I say?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty funny. Hey, Curtis, are you still in the chat? What was the? Well, let's see if I can go up here and find it real quick. But he was talking about another monster when we were talking about Mothman, and I'm going to definitely look that one up because whenever someone talks about something, I definitely want to try to see what they're talking about. But yeah, I can't. I'll find it and probably do something on it. So, all right. So here is another one of the stories. And after we do this, that's it. The Flatwoods Monster. See, thanks, Curtis, for coming back in. I tried to contact you, by the way. I sent you a text message like a week or so ago. But anyway, this is the Flintville Monster, Tennessee, 1997. This, I guess, appeared in the Augusta, Georgia Chronicle April 6, 1997. Tennessee Bigfoot, a disagreeable fellow. By E. Randall Floyd, special columnist. The Bigfoot attacked cars and tried to snatch little children in the Tennessee foothills. Exactly what the Flintville monster is or where it came from still remains a mystery. But more than 2 decades of sightings, terrifying encounters, they have left many people convinced that the creature is not only real, but dangerous as well. More than 2 decades. What do I have here? Hold on a second here. It repeated itself. Dangerous as well. The terrifying encounters with the massive hairy monster have left the folks in Flintville, Tennessee, about 70 miles west of Chattanooga, convinced that the creature is not only real, but again dangerous. That thing is so big it could easily hurt somebody, complained Ned Sinclair, a farmer. Who knows how many head of our livestock have gone missing because of that thing. So far, no one has been hurt by the monster, which often leaves behind 16-inch footprints, a foul skunk-like odor, but there are those who claim to have had close calls. One man said, a 7-foot-tall hairy monster chased him through the woods, howling and screeching at him like an ape. A woman said she hid on the floorboard when the creature attacked her car. On at least one occasion, a child was nearly kidnapped by the thing. It said it had long, hairy arms. The trouble began in 1976. Man, that's a weird year. 1976. Let's see, began in 1976 when a woman told police that a giant hairy monster broke her automobile antenna and then jumped on the roof of her car and began bouncing up and down. When the woman's story made news, other citizens stepped forth and described similar accounts. Several attacks were reported in the early 80s, included one by a plumber who had his truck windshield smashed by the monster, and another by a housewife who said a black hairy creature chased her inside her house and beat on the door. In 1989, a church pastor complained that something had destroyed the windshield and antenna of his car. That same week, a group of teens reported that a large man-like ape lopped across the field at the edge of town. All of the stories, however, none can match the nearly tragic drama related to Jenny Robinson. April 26th, 1976, Miss Robinson's 4-year-old son, Gary, was playing in the yard when his mother heard him scream. When she ran outside to investigate, she became conscious of a foul odor that reminded her of skunk or dead rats. Then she saw a huge ape-like figure bounding across the yard towards her house. It was 7 or 8 feet tall and seemed to be all covered with hair. It reached out its long, hairy arms towards Gary and came within a few inches of him. Seconds before the shaggy beast could grab the child, his terrified mother snatched him up and darted into the house, locking the doors. When she got up enough courage to look out the window, she saw a big black shape disappearing into the woods. Minutes after she reported the incident to police, swarms of lawmen and hunters descended onto her property, armed with shotguns and rifles. They resolved to track down and unalive the creature. Throughout the night, they combed the woods on the outskirts of town. They never found anything, but at least 2 occasions, the creature screamed at them and pelted them with rocks. The next day, the hunters found more 16-inch footprints, as well as hair, blood, and mucus. The hair was scientifically analyzed but could not be identified. No sightings have been reported since 1993. Does that mean that the creature has gone away? I doubt it, said Miss Robinson. It probably just gone into hiding for a while. Throughout the South, from Arkansas to Virginia, reports of monsters resembling Bigfoot continue to reach the desks of law enforcement officers and park rangers. Most sightings can be dismissed as hoaxes or illusions triggered by poor visibility or unsteady imaginations. But few, like the Flintville monster, cannot be explained away. So,
I love that. I mean,
that is,
it's creepy, but
yeah, that is. Let's see. Roger Williams told me a friend of his did a film on that, so I'm gonna have to look that up and see if I can get him on as well. So,
yeah. And it always it's incredible to me. It always comes back to, you know, native stories about how these things so I heard, you know, different stories talking about like how the natives regard them. So, you know, each tribe is different. So you have tribes who used to work with these creatures, these beings, and, you know, they would have totem poles that were based off of them. They would be, you know, things that they would revere and they would work with, and just, you know. And then you have other tribes who would say that, you know, in the middle of the night, these things would come in and they were aggressive and they would steal their women and children.
mhm.
For what we don't know, but it's been, you know, a long time standing. But I always loved, there was a story that I heard about how back in the day natives used to work alongside these beings, and they used to wrestle, and they used to come out when they would have their ceremonies and things like that. And the story went, I guess there was a native man and a Bigfoot essentially at one point during a ceremony or a gathering, and they were wrestling, and they all spoke the same tongue. And this was, you know, way back in the day. And I guess that the Bigfoot actually accidentally allegedly hurt this native man, and that is when the Bigfoot realized, like, hey, we're not the same as
Yep.
these humans are. And then that's when they went into the mountains, they split, and they no longer, you know, we no longer had the same tongue. We couldn't speak to them, we couldn't think the same, and they switched their schedules, and we just had to go our separate ways. But
I've heard that exact same story.
mhm,
Yep. So,
it's so neat.
Mr. Bo Ballard is in the house. So Renee, you just drop a bombshell on here and act like I don't see it, but I do.
Yeah. We need to know.
I want you to come on my show if you're willing to come on my show. That is an amazing, amazing story.
Mhm.
It's like I'll give you just enough to whet your appetite, and then that's it. But yeah, there's my email address to cryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. Please send me an email. I'd love to hear more of that story. And if you're willing, I'd like to have you on one of my episodes. That'd be awesome. Let's see. Good evening, y'all. I hope everyone had a great day. Richie, thanks, bud. I had a really, really good day. I had a fantastic day. I had
Mhm.
literally one of the best days doing this. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, today was man, I'm not letting the cat out of the bag, but I'm just telling, I'm helping someone right now work on a podcast. And the people who are going to be doing this podcast, you guys are definitely going to want to check out this podcast when they get it up and running. And then one of the people I'm going to be interviewing Wednesday. I took the whole day off of work for this interview.
I'm so excited.
Like, for real.
I was so excited.
It's going to be super awesome. But hey, I want to hear from you guys. You know, again, you know, I've been, you guys know, I'm the co-host on Mysteries Unknown with Josh. Josh was going to be on tonight as the co-host. Again, Sabrina, thank you so much for stepping up and coming in. We tried to get Taylor on as well. I kind of call us the three amigos.
Yeah.
And but I guess she was out with her job doing some traveling. So, you know, I went to one of my trusted moderators from my page, and yeah, so you guys, this is a Q&A. type your questions in caps. And yeah, we're here. Well, at least I'm open. I'm an open book. I can't expect Sabrina to be an open book, but
I am an open book. Any questions regarding anything? I Bigfoot. I go out in the woods.
oh, I don't know. Did we play that audio that
We
you
did
sent me?
not. No.
Oh, you guys want to hear some cool audio? You guys, this is fantastic. This is audio. Now, if you guys don't know, Sabrina is part of. How does Sabrina know Daniel? Sabrina and I met. I think where did we meet? Did Cody
Cody
introduce
introduced
us?
us. Yep.
Cody. So Cody was a guest on one of my episodes, and he goes, "If you really want to talk to someone, you got to talk to my friend Sabrina." And so we reached out, and she came on the show, and we stayed in contact. Yeah, just random texts. Hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. So.
Yep.
But yeah, so see, I know one person spoken on your channel about how Bigfoot said to them through Mindspeak that there are good ones and bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I've had a few people. Ray, that said that there are good people. Because I'll tell you right now, my sighting was in 1984 in Graham, Washington, and there was a family unit on the land that we were living on. Now, I'm not saying they were specifically on our 5 acres of land, because there was so many. We lived like in a pine forest almost, in other trees. So, but in this area, there was a family unit. I felt no aggression from the mother that I saw, the female. The only one I saw aggression from was like the young adult, like the older brother. My little brother had interactions with 2 juveniles, and the father, the alpha male, kind of kept to himself, but he let us know that he was around, like smacking the side of a tree or breaking a limb, or you just get this sense. So, do you think sky trumpets are actually Bigfoot sounds? I've heard them, not personally, but I've heard recordings of them. I don't think so. So, you guys, I'm going to play some audio that Sabrina provided. She caught these while she was out investigating with the Ohio NightStalkers. That's the group that you go out and investigate with. And I've actually had 4 members. I've had 4 members of that group on. Mr. Mike Miller, Cody. What is Cody's back? Paulie,
Mm-hmm.
you, and then Donna.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one we're going to do, you say, is I'm just going to play it. I'm just going to play it, and then after I play it, you tell us what it was, okay?
Okay.
Kind of paint the picture of us when I play this. Ready, guys? Here it is.
That's my favorite one, I swear. So that one, oh goodness, we had just found a new road. So what we do is we go out during the day and we make sure everything's safe. We want to make sure that we don't have any drop-offs, and we just kind of scout during the day to make sure everything's good to go, we're safe, and then we go out at night. And what we do is we kind of sit in a circle. Everybody's facing a different way, and we don't use any flashlights, anything like that. If we do use flashlights, they are red light, or if we do go bright lights, it's for emergencies only. But on this new road, I mean, we had literally just been there for 5 minutes, and Cody has this, we call it a call blaster, and it's got different animal sounds on it. And the favorite one we use is a wolf call. And we were like, we're on a new road. We're super excited. Let's just right off the bat, we're going to rip it up. And he lets this wolf call go, and off in the distance, but not too far. And I mean, it was almost immediate. Like, the call of the wolf didn't even get to finish before these things started just raging. And there was one that was like Big Daddy. He was just this long, like, I couldn't even do the howl justice. But after that one, she came up and we got her on the recording, and I call her a she because it just has that more feminine tone, but it sounds like she's just singing. I don't know how else to explain it, but that was the noise that we got. I don't know if she was trying to like harmonize with the call that we had given off, but that's one of my favorite recordings ever. And they weren't too terribly close, so it has been amplified, but I mean they were there right off the bat as soon as we got there.
Here's a thought. Do you ever think that Bigfoot gets pissed off when they hear wolf sounds because their natural enemies might be Dogman itself? That's a good thought.
Yeah. I personally, with me being out, boots on the ground out there, I do believe they do get mad. Our group, Mike is retired, not Miller, but Mike is retired, and one of his favorite things to do is, and it does get them riled up, is to do a deer in distress sound. So we have had a few instances where they have come in, and I think they're looking for this deer, and they find us instead, and we have been just pelted with rocks. So I think
Yep.
the wolf gets them going as well, because they come in, they're like, hey, this isn't a natural sound. What is this? They want to see what it is. But, again, to the last comment that we had, there are nice ones and there are mean ones. So I
Yep.
think they come in and they're curious and they might, get a little agitated. But, once they start throwing rocks, we usually leave and we give them their space.
Yeah. So play a crying baby. I don't have any crying baby recordings. All the recordings that I have, everything I have been provided to me by guests. I have not pulled any audio um, from any other source other than the guest provided them for me.
Yeah.
Here is another one that Sabrina provided. Now I'm gonna play it a few times. Listen very, very carefully. One more time. Okay, tell us exactly what you believe that we heard and what was going on. How close was it? What was the environment like when you recorded that?
So that was last year as well. That was early around May. That was the same road. So this was, we usually go for 2 to 3 nights at a time. So we'll hit different spots. But if we have activity, we usually stay to the same spot unless they're really agitated. Then we kind of move on because, we try to be as respectful as we can. We don't want to scare them out of the area. We just kind of go in and do what we can. But so this was a super dark, and I'm talking dark, old backcountry road, nobody around. We were sitting there and we were hearing movements and bipedal movements, and I'm not nothing like a raccoon or a deer. Like, you can hear them, they're walking through the brush. Sometimes they'll let you know that they're there, sometimes they won't, they'll be quiet. But so we're sitting there, we're having some activity, and at this point, it's dark, we're kind of whispering, and I hear something up towards the front of the Jeep. So we have two vehicles and we're sitting in the middle of the vehicles, and I hear something moving up here, there's movement over here, there's movement behind us. They're kind of, and my biggest thing is there's never usually only one. There's always either a family unit or a scout or some kind of, there at least two. But so we're sitting here and we're having this activity, we're having movement, and I would have never have caught this. So we're, it's just normal stuff. I don't think we had much activity that night besides the movement. But I go home after we had our weekend, and I'm going through and I put my recordings that I have up on an audio. It's a free audio thing. It's nothing so fancy. But I see this tiny little blip in this thing, and I'm like, what is this? So I like scrolled up and I amplified it, and it was that running. And you could hear it just smacking its feet super fast. And I was so giddy and I was excited, and I was like, this is insane. So we sent it out to a professional sound and an analyzer. His name is David Ellis, and he did verify. He was like, this is bipedal running. But I can tell you 100% it was not any of us in our group, because this was an old road, big rocks. It's not something, you're not going to be running around like that in the dark. And so I truly do believe I got one of them running across the gravel road that we were on, and it's it's so neat.
Okay, so Richie, I'm gonna play it again. So with the funking pigs and Two Shadows Moon playing, I don't know what that is, but turn that down or something so then you can hear this. Again, this is crazy. I'm gonna play it again for you one more time. Yeah, that was crazy.
It is. It's one of my favorite.
That's definitely crazy. So, do monkeys or apes cries? Yes.
Yes, they do.
I kind of got a little like sad because I saw a baby orangutan, and it was playing on like a bar that moved back and forth, and the bar hit the baby in the face, the little baby orangutan, and it started crying. I'm like, oh, that's so heartbreaking,
That is
little guy.
sad.
So now let me ask you this, Sabrina. So you had told on your on your first episode with me
Mhm.
that you mentioned how a juvenile ran across a path that you
Mhm.
were on. Now, did its feet sound like that when it was
Yeah,
running across? Okay,
but
I thought so.
a little faster. I think the juvenile that I saw was full sprinting. Like, I mean, this thing, it was a glide how fast this thing was going. And I think the
Yeah,
one that you just played was, I think, maybe just running across the road into a different area where we were sitting. Nothing too, inhumanly speed, but it was definitely still neat.
yeah. Renee, those were footfalls that were playing. It was running away from the Jeep. So, but yeah. Any other questions out there, guys? Anything
Sas-
else?
yeah, the Sasquatch babies do. I have heard the crying in the woods, and it is very eerie. It's
Like
very
like
eerie.
they're imitating a baby cry, or you actually think it is one?
I don't think it is one. And everybody, when you tell somebody that, and the things that I've seen and I've heard when I'm out there, they'll be like, "Oh, well, it's a coyote," or I can't remember if they think it's like a bobcat. It sounds like a woman crying, but it's not like necessarily a woman. It almost sounds like, I don't know if you've ever heard like a gibbon monkey.
Yep.
It's like that really soft, like like it's like a little sorrowful, like sounding.
Yeah.
Just does sound like almost like a mixture between a monkey and a child, just kind of like somber, like
Yeah.
cry noise. It's really eerie.
Oh, thank you. Uh, Chavez wants to know, do you continuously record or only during determined times?
I personally continuously record. I don't have anything fancy. I honestly just use my phone, and then I amplify it if I see like any kind of like blip in my graph that tells me that something would be there. Miller in our group, he has like the really big dish. It's constantly going. He's had that thing pelted by rocks so many times I can't even tell you. So we usually continuously record as soon as we start doing our thing.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I will tell you guys. So I don't know if anybody in here listened to my um, the burning alive woman screams. If that's an audio that's out there, I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to listen for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's eerie. But so I did a listener email episode, and it wasn't that long. But the my son is on there. One of his his only encounter is on that episode, and I'll tell you what his encounter was. So when I say my son, he's actually my stepson, but I've been around since he was 11, so he's like my kid. Um, so we were in Michigan over spring break, and like 2 or 3 days before we were getting ready to leave to come back here to Minnesota, he kind of comes in, and I'm sitting uh, in a chair in the living room, And he's like, Dan, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, yeah, sure, bud. What's going on? So I go into the kitchen, and he's like, well, I got to tell you something. And I'm like, great. He's going to tell me that his fiance's pregnant again and all this type of stuff. I'm like, come on now. This is insane. I don't want to hear this noise right now. You just have had one a year ago. You don't need another one. So he goes, I think I saw something. And I go, what do you mean you think you saw something? Now, my son is not a liar. He can't lie because he tells on himself. When he thinks because he just can't get away with it. He'll lie to you,
Yeah.
but he just can't get away with it because he tells on himself.
Mhm.
And plus, he's also he's an introvert. He doesn't like. He's very quiet, almost to the point he's very shy. And his biggest fear is saying something that someone would think is stupid, and then them saying, "Oh, well, that's dumb," or "You're stupid," and he doesn't like to feel like that way. So when I know he's coming to me with something, I know he's serious. He's serious. So okay, I won't look it up. So he sits down and he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I was coming home from my dad's house," and I go, "When was this?" He goes, "2021." He goes, "It was August. It was right before or right after my birthday." I go, "Okay." And he goes, "Me and Jessica, we were driving home, down that road." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You know that one part on the right-hand side of the road where it's that big open field? And then there's a house that sits right next to the road. And then there's this giant oak tree that's right out in the middle of this field." And I go, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he goes, "You know how the road kind of inclines a little bit? It's not a steep incline, it's just a gradual incline. And I go, "Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about." He goes, "Well, as I was driving," he goes, "I noticed something standing just in the tree line, right on the other side of the bike path on the driver's side." And I go, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so for some reason, he goes, it caught my attention. So I kind of slowed down and we just started to go up that hill. And when I had my brakes on, it illuminated the area behind me a little bit. And he goes, and for whatever reason, I looked out my rearview mirror and I saw something running towards the back of my car,
Ooh.
really fast. And he goes, I just floored it. He goes, I just smashed the gas down and we took off. And he goes, I looked back again and I saw it turn off real quick and run off into that big field. And I look at Jessica and I go, "Did you just see that?" And she kind of whipped her head around and she said she saw something moving, but she couldn't tell what it was. And he goes, "Dan," he goes, "I'm telling you right now," he goes, "I've never seen anything that big. And it moved way faster than anything that big should move."
Yep.
And I wholeheartedly believe my son. I'm not just saying it because he's my son. I know his character. I know his idiosyncrasies. I looked at him the whole time and he doesn't like to keep eye contact. And he was looking me in the eye the entire time he said this. And so I called in his fiance and I go, "What do you know?" And she goes, "I didn't see it at first. And I just saw something quickly move off into the woods or into the field." And so, yeah. And what's really crazy is that this area, and I just recently found this out, this area, there are a lot of documented sightings. Documented sightings. It's crazy. And there's an area that I'm going to go investigate by myself. And it's not, but see, here's the thing. It's not deep in the woods like you go.
Yeah.
It's not. This one area is right across the street from a freaking movie theater.
That's insane.
I'm serious.
What?
I'm serious. And then another area is I can drive my vehicle down this area, and this Sasquatch has been seen multiple times walking just off of the road.
That's so neat, though.
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna go check this out. And here's a funny thing, though. I went to dinner with Doug Hychek and his wife, his co-host, and a couple of his other friends. And we were talking, and they started talking about, well, what they believe is they saw Mothman. They were driving home, and they saw something, and they weren't sure what it was, and it buzzed their car. And I'll tell you right now, his wife was so freaked out by it. She does not like to drive at night.
Oh,
She will not drive through the woods. It's crazy.
that's sad too.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. Kumbo Baker has located Bigfoots in Chicago green belts. Oh, I would not be surprised. No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you
Josh.
Josh. Joshy!
Josh.
What's going on, dude? Hey, I'm so glad you got in here, man. Thank you for joining. You guys, if you don't know who this is, Josh is the host of Mysteries Unknown. He is like literally one of my best friends in the world, and he's like my brother. Like legit. I talk to Josh. Josh, how many times a day do we talk? At least 10 times a day. I kid you not. At least. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but Josh and I, we are working on something huge. And we already laid down the foundation last night, didn't we, Josh? So we got the foundation, and yeah, so you guys stay tuned, because we have something great. We have Mysteries Unknown and the Cryptid Podcast. Together, we are going to bring something, we hope, awesome to everybody. And now look at Wayne. Wayne was probably out with Richard and probably D.A. Roberts out on the lake, chasing Sasquatch and Dogman. And yeah, weren't you trying out your new thermal camera, Wyatt? So yeah, it is going to be great, Josh, for sure. 100%.
I'm proud of you guys. You guys put in a lot of hard work, both of you, and I'm so proud.
Well, we appreciate that. I really appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for stepping in, and we're not done yet. We're still having fun. I'm here to anybody else want to at the movies, right? Sure, you're at the movies. No crap, you're out on the lake getting good stuff. That's what you're doing. What's up, Scott? So look at all of these members that are. This is awesome.
This is awesome.
Awesome. But yeah, you missed it, Josh and Wyatt. We talked about the Mothman and the sheep squatch,
the Owlman, Batsquatch,
and
scarecrows.
Oh yeah, hey Curtis, I 100%. I know, I've heard that one. I've heard that story. What's up, Scotty B? So yeah, we're having a good time. I mean, what's up, Hillary? We didn't have I think last Saturday, I think our live had we had 70 in at one time, which is pretty cool. So far our biggest number tonight is 58, but you know what? There could be 5 people in here. I'm just having a good time talking with everybody. Like I said, Wade is here. Let's see. First sighting of Mothman, 100 yards from my great-grandparents' house. Wait a minute. Whoa. What? Hillary, are you saying that you saw Mothman? Oh, look at Ash. Thanks for coming back in, dude. I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Oh, okay, no. So you're saying the first sighting of Mothman was 100 yards away from your great grandparents' house?
That's still crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man, look at this is like the second or third time someone has gifted a membership. That's awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, Ash. Thank you. Hey, what's up, Mike? You guys care about the people who see these? Absolutely, 100%. I care. You know, I posted. Let's see what was it on? It was one where the guy was a mountain biker, and he saw Dogman like on multiple days, and someone made some rude comments. You guys, here's the thing. Yeah, you're right. 100%. No ridicule.
Yep.
I'm not doing this for clicks. I'm honestly, I'm not. I'm not. I love talking to every single man. Look, gifted 5. Look at
Wow.
Ray, man. Ray's coming in with some big energy.
You guys are so sweet
Man,
tonight.
you guys, thank you so much. You guys, just to let you guys know, anybody who is new to now when you guys get a membership to the Cryptid Podcast, you become a member of the Cryptid crew. And as it stands right now, when I'm able to get you guys something else, all I can offer you guys right now is an early access to a Saturday release. So you guys will get to see it like maybe I know White has jumped in on a Saturday release. White, about how many days is it that you get to see that early release? Is it like 2 days or 3 days, something like that? He's probably getting ready to go back out on the road on the lake. But anyway, yeah, so you guys will get to see it for you guys will get to see it for I think 2 days prior to its public release. So again, I appreciate it so much, you guys. Thank you so much for the kindness and the generosity you guys are showing. And again, that's what we try to do here is, we try to interact with our listeners, because I've been on some lives, and a lot of times all the hosts do is they just sit there and talk to their co-host or their guest. And you got to understand, if it isn't for you guys, if it isn't for you viewers and subscribers and members, if it wasn't for you guys, I would be sitting at 100 subs probably, and being like that lone guy on Twitch that's just live streaming and doesn't have a single person in his thing. But I still love doing it. I really do. And you guys make it that much more fun. And honestly, you guys do. I think this is what really started me, it re-energized me, was getting on here and seeing the overwhelming support that you guys give me during these lives. And even, when I produce and send out an episode for you guys to watch, it's just, you guys are re-energizing me, and I truly, truly appreciate it. You guys are making it fun. You really are.
It's a community.
It is. It really is. And again, a lot of people like Steamboat and Wyatt and Sabrina and who else in here? Chavez, and who else do I have in here? Bo Ballard. All these people have my personal number. They all have they have my cell phone, and they know that. I mean, Steamboat for one, he is what, dude,
Ray.
come on, Ray. Ray is just, holy smokes. Do you think the crawlers and the rake are the same thing because they make the same clicking sound? You mean like this?
Oof.
You mean that sound? Here's the thing. I've had a rake encounter, but again, when I hear about the crawlers, I think they're one and the same. It's just a different name, kind of like Sasquatch and Bigfoot. It's the same thing. Some people tell me that I'm wrong, but I don't know, but see, the rake is also makes like a scream, kind of. And I've heard the clicking noise, and I've heard the scream. So yeah, like I mean, okay, I don't want to make this about me, but do you guys want to hear my rake encounter?
Yes, because you were gonna tell me that earlier anyway. So number one, yes.
Okay, so one in the chat, yes. Two in the chat, no. Anybody? Anyone? Steamboat is a walking encyclopedia. So I got a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1. Okay. Okay, here we go. So here's the thing, you guys. So this happened. Oh, Giovanna, welcome to the show. That's a new name.
Welcome.
So welcome. Thank you so much. Krista Williams, thank you for coming in. If you're coming in, you guys, thank you so much for coming in and checking out this live. So here we go. So this happened the summer before my senior year of high school. Don't want anything to do with a rake or a crawler.
Agreed, honestly.
Out of all the encounters that I've had, Casey, hello, welcome to the show. Out of all the encounters that I've had, and again, I've had people just talk nonsense to me. You know, you've had this and this, and you've seen that, and you've kept. How's it that you're so lucky? Well, you know what? I've recently learned this R negative blood or whatever it's called. I got A negative blood, you guys, and I'm a latchkey kid. I come from a broken home. I had, single dad, single mom, and a lot of times I was left to my own devices. And I'm telling you right now, I used to do a bunch of stupid shit. A bunch of stupid stuff, I should say. And I would go out and just do dumb stuff and roam all over. So the summer before my senior year of high school, so this is like 89, I just moved back to Tennessee from Washington State. I failed 2 classes my junior year of high school, and I knew that if I stayed in the Washington State, education system, that I would probably have to do summer school and I would not graduate on time. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to go down to Tennessee where I'm almost guaranteed to graduate. And I'll tell you what, I went down my transcripts and I only needed 2 credits to graduate high school. So this is what I did. Hooked back up with a buddy of mine I had met my freshman year of high school. His parents owned a lot of land. His dad was a farmer. And we would go over to his house and ride mini bikes and goof off and do tons of stuff. So this one particular day, I go over to his house and I walk in the front door like I own the house. And his dad's in there and he's like, boy, he goes, don't you got anything better to do than come over to my house and just lay around and eat my food and do whatever. Now his dad, I'll call him Eddie. He's a big man, like a big country, corn-fed, moss-back giant of a man. He had hands like catcher's mitts. He was a giant of a man. So, I said, we're going to ride mini bikes and we're going to do this. And he's like, okay. He goes, well, if you ain't back by the time we leave, we'll just let you know, and he's talking to my buddy and primarily not me. He goes, me and your mom, we're going to go to this thing. We might stay late. We might stay overnight, but here's the thing. Do not let the dogs in the house. Don't call us unless the house is burning down or someone's dead. And he goes, don't be getting into things you don't need to be getting into. Don't do anything stupid. So we go out to the barn where the mini bikes are, and we get on and we go ripping through. Now, there was an access road that came from his driveway. It just continued on to the side of his backyard, and then it went along the tree line, and then there was another like area that walked on in, and it went on into the woods. Now, there was like 20 acres of woods. And in this woods, like almost in the center of these woods, was like an old farmhouse. Now, this path, well, you could drive a truck through there or a tractor through there. It went out to what we called it his fields. So he'd plant crops like corn, soybeans, stuff like that. Okay. And so we go and we're ripping through there and we're just going everywhere. And then we kind of realized it was kind of getting a little later. He wanted to get back to, say goodbye to his dad. So when I went over there, it was like 11:30 in the morning. And so we take off, we go back, and we go back through the woods. And when we do, my buddy kind of slows down a little bit and then takes off. And I kind of slow down when he starts slowing down. And I just kind of looked over to my right or to my left. And in one of the windows, I could have swore I saw somebody or something standing looking out that window. Now, there was no glass in the windows. There was no doors on this house. Nature was working its way, taking it back over. So I take off real quick, and as I'm catching up to my buddy, I see him ride his bike through the backyard, which we weren't supposed to do. He had a super, super nice backyard. And he just jumped off the mini bike and let it go to a stop and fall over. I go zipping up behind him and I go, dude, did you see somebody down there in the house? He's like, why do you think I took off? And so we just went back up in the house, right? Now, when his dad said, don't let the dogs in, it's because it's for a reason. These are farm dogs. If anybody's been out country, know that these dogs, they just don't belong in the house.
No.
They roam all over the woods. They sleep in the barn. And they were big old dogs. I think the only dog that looked like I would say would be a purebred was the German Shepherd. But the other ones were huge mutts. They each probably weighed 90 to 100 pounds each. They were big dogs. So he goes in and we're looking for his dad. We see the note on the thing that they had already left. He starts making some food. Now, anybody who's down south knows that if you're going over to your buddy's house, your dad has a chair that you don't sit in. Well, Mr. Eddie was gone, so I commenced to sit on his chair. Hey, what's up there, 73? So I'm sitting in this chair, and I got my legs kicked over one of the arms. I'm sitting in this chair like I'm not supposed to sit in it, and I'm flipping through the channels and stuff. And by the time that I started doing this, it was now pretty dark outside. So I'm sitting there and I'm flipping through the channels, and I hear this scratching noise. And I'm like, what is that noise? So I'm kind of like, clicking through the channels, and I still hear it. So I go, is that the TV? Is that like one of the speakers going out in the TV? Now I'm thinking, oh man, maybe I had it up too loud. Maybe I blew a speaker in his dad's TV. So I go and I click some more, and I still hear this. And I'm doing this for like 15, 20 minutes. Well, finally I just mute it. And I still hear that scratching noise. Now I'm sitting in the chair. I got my back, like I'm literally laying over the arms of the chair. It was one of those big, oversized, like recliners. Right next on my right is an end table with a lamp on it. And then literally there's a window. I could reach out and touch the window. That's how close it was. I hear this scratching noise. This is all I'm going to say is the county, Shelby County, Tennessee. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say exactly where. So you're right. Don't sit in a Southern man's exactly personal chair. Well, I did anyway. And so I sat there and I heard this noise. Hey, what's up, Larry? Just found your live show. Thanks for joining, man. So I go and I slowly look back, kind of like I sit up and I look back, and in the window, like right here, looking in the window, I see this face. Large head, sunken in eyes, whitish or gray skin. and I jump off of this chair. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I'm
Made me
telling you,
tear up. Ugh.
I jump off this chair, and I am not afraid to say this. I screamed like a little schoolgirl. High-pitched, super scream, and I'm stammering. I can't get out what I need to get out. And my buddy comes running in, and he's like, What's going on? What's going on? And I go, there. And I'm pointing at the window, and I go, it was right there. It was right there. He goes like, what? I go, I saw something looking in the window. Now, the window, it was probably about, I don't know, maybe 6 feet up. The bottom of the window was like 6 feet above the ground, maybe a little lower. And he goes, where? I go, right there, right there. So I'm thinking my buddy is gonna just kind of go like this and look, No, he goes right up to the window and goes like this. And he jumps back. He's like, holy yes. I just saw it. It took off running to the back of the house. So he runs into his bedroom and he gets a couple of 12s. That's all I'm going to say. 12s. Y'all know what that means. He gets a couple of 12s and he throws me one and then tosses me a box of freedom seeds. And we just start putting them in our pocket and start loading up. And he's like, let's go. Brief second, I really don't want to go, but okay, I followed my buddy. So we go through the kitchen and do the mudroom. And in the mudroom, his dad there was kind of like cabinets or counters that had drawers and stuff. And his mom would put stuff back there, but he had a flashlight that was plugged in and it looked like a lunchbox with a light on it. It was that big. And I had some dingy little stupid, plastic flashlight, 2C cell, and you had to shake it to make it work sometimes. I mean, it was horrible. And maybe you could see 5 feet in front of you. So we go out, and as soon as we open up the back door, we hear his dogs losing their ever-loving mind. Like but we can't see him. We can't see him at all. So my buddy hits this flashlight that he's holding, and we could barely see the dogs out by the tree line. And these dogs are crazy. And what I'm going to tell you about these dogs is that these dogs never barked at anything unless it was like somebody coming into the yard. We would sit on the back deck of his house, and we'd see coyotes come out of the woods and go across the tree line, and the dogs would just sit there. They kind of peek their heads up and they'd look, but they wouldn't bark. They wouldn't bark. Like, yeah, it's just stupid coyote. I'm not worried about it, because they knew if it came up into the yard, then that's when they would react. But this thing was on the back side of the yard. So now these dogs are down by the tree line, and they're losing their crap. So we go jumping off the deck and we go running down, and we're calling the whole time. Come on, boys. Come on. We're trying to get them to come up off, and they wouldn't. They were, their hackles were up, their tails were up. I mean, these dogs were ready to fight. And we're like, come on. Now he's blasting the tree line with this flashlight, and we're getting closer. Now we get up to where we're right behind the dogs, and we're flashing. Now, is my flashlight doing anything? Probably not. I'm inadequate with the flashlight. And so we're flashing, and then we hear this scream. It's like a growl. It's like a gravelly scream, and it came out of the woods. That scream, you could feel it come out of the woods. And those dogs, you blink, they're there. You blink again, they're gone. They're at a dead run up to the house. I go over to ask my buddy, what was that? He's not standing there. He's chasing the dogs. So I'm standing there with a 12, and a dinky little flashlight that's maybe going to give me 5 feet of vision. And I hear it moving through the woods, like it's coming towards me. So I take off running, and I stop and I go to flash, and I can't see as far as I want to see. But I had this feeling that it was coming out behind me. Like every step I took, it was coming up behind me. I'm not saying that it was, but I had that feeling. You get that feeling like you're being chased by something. And I'd turn around real quick and flash a flashlight, and I could never see something, but I could still hear it coming. So I go running, and I jump up part of the steps, and we burst through the door, slam the door, start locking everything up, closing shades, closing curtains, locking doors. We took Mr. Eddie's chair, and we tried to push it up into the stairwell that went upstairs to like create a barrier for some whatever reason. We were afraid that if this thing could climb up the side of a house, it might come through a window and then come down the stairs to get us. So we're sitting there, we're like, what's that? What was that? What was that noise? And we're talking and we're losing our minds. The next thing I remember is I'm laying on the floor and my foot is getting kicked. And I open up my eyes and there's Mr. Eddie standing. And he's losing. What the F? Why are the GD dogs in the house? And I'm looking around. I got a dog laying almost on top of my chest. I got a dog between me and my buddy. The other dog's laying down there. I got a shotgun laying next to me. And he's like, what the heck is going on? And just like two chattering little schoolgirls, we're like, we saw this and that and this and screamed and this and we ran and this and that and this. And he just told us to shut the F up. And I thought he was going to slap us to try to bring us back to center. And he's like, okay, tell us what happened. So we told him everything. And he goes out and we're watching. I'm looking out the window like this. And I see Mr. Eddie go around the corner of the house and he's looking around. All of a sudden he just turns around and comes right back up in the house. And he's moving quick. And he goes into his bedroom and he comes out with a 223 with a bunch of freedom seeds and little containers like magazines. You guys, and I know what they're called. I'm a firearms instructor. I was in the Air Force. I was a cop in the Air Force. I'm just trying to make it as non-threatening to YouTube. But he goes, boys, let's go. And we're like, no, we're not going. And he's like, oh, you're going. Get in the truck. So we go outside and we follow him to the barn. And he gets in the truck and we pile up in the back of the truck. And he drives down the little access road. We go off into the woods. And I'm thinking he's going to stop a little bit ways back from this house. No, he pulls right up to the front porch of this house. And he gets out, and I'm standing up in the bed of the truck, and I'm overlooking at it, and he goes, all right, where'd you see it? And I go, right there in that window. Because if you're looking at it, it had a porch that came up. The porch was the entire width of the house. 2 front windows here, 2 front windows here, and it was the one nearest the door. And he goes, that one right there. So he comes in. He goes up, he walks up the stairs, then walks in the house, and he stands in the window. He's like, right here. I go, yep. Now, I'll give you the floor plan of this house. As you go in, you're already walking into like the big living room, okay? Right to your right is like a little nook, but it's a stairway. So the stairway, it goes up 1 or 2 stairs to a little landing, then it goes up like 14 stairs to the upstairs. To another landing, and then he goes upstairs because I used to play in this house when we were told not to. And then the upstairs was this one long hallway. At the end of the hallway was a bedroom. Right next to the end of the hallway, there was 2 bedrooms on this side, 1 bedroom on this side, and a bathroom on this side. Okay, so there was 1, 2, 3. There were 4 bedrooms upstairs. If you go back downstairs, there is you walk into the dining room and then into the kitchen, and you can see from the front door all the way through the back door. Now, upstairs there was like a little narrow stairway that went down into the kitchen. So it had two ways to go up and down in the house. So he goes into the house and I'm kind of watching him and I lose sight of his dad. His dad, and you could hear his boots walking on the wood and the wood creaking. And as he's walking, all of a sudden we hear him say, "Start the truck." And he's talking to my buddy. I'll call my buddy George. That's not his name, but I'm not ever going to give his name. "George, start the truck. George, stop the truck. Start the truck. Start the truck." And we hear him running. And again, his dad's a big dude. His dad does not run. His dad came flying out of the house and he jumped off the porch. George already had the truck started. Now, I didn't realize it until I looked, but one of the dogs decided to come down and see what was going on and hanging out with us. So what he does is Mr. Eddie jumps in the cab of the truck and puts it in reverse, and he almost hits his dog. But this dog takes off, and he's gone. Mr. Eddie drove through his backyard and parked his truck right at the back door. Gets out, runs up into the house. We don't know exactly what's going on. But about 25, 30 minutes later, here comes a semi-truck with an excavator loaded on the back of it, on a trailer. They unload the excavator. He drives it down into the woods. Oh, hey, what's up, Robo 1776? I'm talking about a rake experience that I had when I was in Tennessee. And what he does is he takes that excavator down and he levels that old house in the woods. Completely levels the house to where, Dan, was this daytime or nighttime? When we saw it, it was nighttime. When we heard it, it was nighttime. And when he leveled the house, it was daytime. Now, do I know what his dad saw? I don't. But he did say that he heard something. And that's what made him run out of the house and then get that excavator out there, and he leveled the house. And so years later, after I'd graduated high school, joined the military, did 5 years, and then moved back to Tennessee and started working for the Tennessee Department of Corrections, I saw my buddy, and we were sitting down, and I saw him at a breakfast place. I'm not going to mention it because I had a bad experience there, but I just walked up to him and said, "Hey, man," and we started talking like we just saw each other last week. And we just got talking. I go, "Hey, man, do you remember that one time?" He's like, "Yep." I said, "How do you know what time I'm going to talk?" He goes, "I know what time you're going to talk about." He goes, "Dude, I do not want to talk about it." He goes, I'll just tell you this. We haven't had anything go on, anything weird or strange out at the farm since my dad tore that house down.
Wow.
And so that was, yeah. But my question is this: how long did it take that thing to leave that house to come up to the house that we were in? And how long was it standing by that door, or by that window, looking through the window before it started scratching on the screen, and before I turned the TV down and then looked in the window and saw what I saw?
Do you think it was watching the TV with you, like interested, or do you think it was solely focused like on you being so close to the window?
It was looking at me. It was not
Ugh.
looking at the TV.
That's so scary, Daniel.
Like, it wasn't like I'm seeing a
scary.
side profile of it looking at the TV. Because if it was looking at the TV, that's what I would have seen, like, its side.
Yeah.
When I looked over, God bless America, man, I'm getting goosebumps. When I looked at it, we were like this. Look at the camera, look at me. We're looking right at each other. Like eye to eye or whatever. No.
That's terrifying.
No, there were no caves nearby at all. It was an old, dilapidated farmhouse out in the middle of this woods. Rake looking over my shoulder, bro. I'm telling you, it was. I do not know. Dan, do you know what these things are? I wish I knew. I so wish I knew what they were. Um, I don't know. Now, here's the thing. I talked about this encounter to Tony Merkel on the confessionals, and someone had mentioned that I saw a gray, and it was hard for me to really describe what I saw. Someone mentioned the movie Signs with Mel Gibson.
I hate that already.
and the alien. And so while I'm talking with Tony, I'm Googling movie Signs, alien images. And as soon as I saw the image, I almost dropped my phone because it looks so similar, almost identical to what I saw, except the coloration was different and the facial was different. But the way the body was shaped, it was like kind of, how am I describe it?
Was it like gangly, like
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like gangly, not hangy skin, but like real super. Okay, I hate to use this. I hate to use this analogy, but it looked like one of the people in the concentration camps.
Oh.
It was like really like bony, like that, but a big, a bigger head, gaunt eyes.
Like malnourished.
Yes, like malnourished.
Gotcha.
Was the body segmented? I saw shoulders, I saw arms, I saw chest. My buddy saw, from what he could say, was like the backside of it. So that's probably what we saw. But what do you mean by segmented? Hillary, what do you mean by segmented? Hungry? Who's hungry? Like, no, not like an insect. Mm-hmm. This, from what I saw, looked like a person, but not a person. So, no, not like a caterpillar steamboat. It looked like a person.
That's terrifying. I don't think I ever, I've seen a lot of scary things and heard a lot of scary things, but I think that's one thing I don't want to.
Do you think the Mothman is part of the cryptid community? FWIW Dan is lightning rod for cryptids. Man, Robo, thank you so much, dude. I'm gonna tell you on a couple of your other comments on some of my other episodes, man. You were ruthless, but hey, I welcome all. I welcome all comments. I welcome all critiques. I welcome all suggestions, things like that. Do I think it's part of the cryptid community? Yes. And a lightning rod for cryptids, I don't want to be. I've asked myself why. Why have I've only seen one I've had one sighting of Bigfoot. Hi Cindy. Welcome to the show. I've only seen Bigfoot one time, and it was a female. Encounters through the magic of the internet, I was able to realize that I had other encounters, but not realizing until I went back and said, "Oh, I've heard that when I was a kid," or "I've seen that when I was a kid," or something like that happened when I was a kid. I've had more paranormal encounters than I have had cryptid encounters. Does anybody want to hear those? A couple of those. I normally don't cover paranormal on my shows, but if somebody wants to hear one or two, I'll tell you. Look at you.
Anything you have to tell me, I'm already geared up. I'm like, let's just hear it.
Cindy's like, yes. But I just want to say a special thanks for for this. Robo, thank you so much, man. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. That means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And also this one as well. Oh, I lost it again. Here we go. Ray, thank you so much again. Thank you so much. Was it really pale with like malnourished body with long arms and limbs, upside down teardrop type head with a small mouth and big black eyes? I wouldn't say upside down teardrop head, but yes, it looked like it was a malnourished body with long arms and limbs, big like gaunt eyes, sunken in eyes, and the mouth, I wouldn't say super small.
Nope.
But okay, I have paranormal stories for days. Yeah, Curtis, I think you and I talked as well. Okay, so I'll give you just kind of like a really, really simple one. I'll get into a couple other ones off topic. I tried to raid you and I couldn't after my stream. You need to enable it so next time I can. I don't know what that means, but I'll look into it. And
a raid is where he will come into your stream with however many followers on his thing, so it'll be displaying your video on his page.
Okay, I'll try to figure out how to do that. Thank you, I appreciate that, Daniel. I need to send you pics I took in Gettysburg. I would love to see those security officer stories. What do you mean? When I was security police in the Air Force? Because I haven't had any. Well, all I've had is some inmates trying to escape one time when I was a correctional officer, but that's a different story for a different time. But anyway, so real quick, so in the house I'm living in now, when we worked from home during COVID, my wife and daughter were considered essential personnel, so they had to go into the office. So no one was at home. Now, where my office sits, right above me is our dining room. Then there's a wall right here, my daughter's bedroom. Above her bedroom is the living room. If you go out my door, back there, you can see where I'm pointing, is the hallway that goes into our family room, stairs, and that's the main hallway upstairs as well. So I'm down here, and I know my wife has already gone to work. I know my daughter's already gone to work. So it's probably about 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm down here working, and I hear something run like full speed from the back of the hallway upstairs from where my bedroom is, runs through the living room, through the dining room, through the kitchen, back down the hallway, and I hear a door slam. And I don't mean like someone just kind of shut it quick. It's like they slammed it because they were pissed off at somebody. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tap over here because I have a friend of mine that sits here with me all the time. I picked up my friend and I said, "Hey, buddy, we're going to go and clear the house." So using my technical training, I cleared my entire house like a lunatic. I even looked in my garage. Now, when I walked down the hallway, there were no doors closed. All the doors were wide open. I used to weigh over 400 pounds, like 425, 430. One night I was laying in bed. Now I suffer from insomnia. And so if I get an hour to 2 hours of sleep a night, if I get any sleep, I'm doing pretty good. But this day, I don't understand why. I was getting amazing sleep. I was on my back. The pillows were right. The bed felt right. I have a sleep number bed, so everything was perfect. My covers were good. I had the fan blowing on me. I'm dead asleep. And then something grabs my left foot, picks me up, like jerks me up off of my bed so violently that I turned over in midair and slammed down on the floor on my face, my chest, my stomach. It was so loud when I hit the floor that my wife goes, "Honey, are you okay?" And I reached up, grabbed my pillow, and said, "Yeah, I fell out of bed." Like it physically. Hold on. What do we got here? You both seem like trustworthy experiencers. I don't mean to burst your bubble with comments, but I'm not a bobblehead fan as well. Cheers, mate. Stay. Hey, man. You know what? I appreciate that. And here's the thing. I don't always buy everything that people tell me. You and I are in the same boat, brother. You can ask Steamboat, you can ask Sabrina, you can ask Ashes, you can even ask Chavez there. I am very, very skeptical on a lot of things. I'll take your word I'll take, what your word is for your word. Don't always expect me to believe it because I try to find something wrong with the story, but I'm never going to call anybody out on it. I'm never going to make an example of anybody on it because I'm not there experiencing what you experienced. I don't know the whole story. So I have to do is take your word for it. Now, if I find holes in some stuff, or if I find something might be a little crazy, look at Ray. Oh
Ray.
10 gifted brother.
Ray's killing it. Oh man.
Man, thank you so much. I am going to, be very polite and very kind. And yeah, because I love hearing a lot of encounters. I've had people tell me stuff and I'm like, yeah, okay. Or I'll ask questions and I won't do it on camera. I'll ask questions. I'm like, hey, for real, man. Like, seriously, what are we doing? And a lot of times people's like, well, I just wanted to add a little more to it. So, but I don't have a problem with you embellishing it. Now, if you come to me with a story and say, well, I was back there barbecuing and 18 cryptids of different kinds came walking out of the woods carrying potato salad and kegs of beer. Well, I mean, that is a great story, but that's just not the kind I'm looking for, So, but yeah. Now, someone asked to hear something from when I was in the military. Okay, so I was stationed in Germany, and I was also stationed at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. That is a very, very, very well-known, very documented base that has hauntings in it. We had a shadow figure. Okay, so Joseph, I'm going to talk about a shadow figure. So there is I don't know what they've done with it now because I haven't been on FE1 Air Force Base since 1995. So we're looking at what, 20 years, 30 years, 90, 10, 30 years, I think. And so a buddy of mine who's my partner, we're on patrol, and he goes, hey, you want to see something really cool? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And he goes, we're going to go over to this dormitory and we're just going to sit in the parking lot across from it. And we're going to look at the second floor. There's a dorm room up on this end of this building that you can see a shadow of a man. And he walks from back to forth, back and forth. You can see him move. And I'm like, bull crap. You cannot. He's like, no, you can. And the dorm is closed, meaning there's no people that live in this dorm. And I'll tell you why. So we go and we watch. And so you didn't see anything when you were with your brother, but you talked about seeing Bigfoot with your dad. Okay, so when let me finish the story and I'll address that, Ian. So we're watching the second story window. And we don't have our headlights on. We're watching it. And sure enough, you can see a shadow stand right in the window. And then it would move over to the other window and it would stand right in the other window. And we watched this happen. We watched it move back and forth, probably for a good 20, 30 minutes. And he goes, it happens all the time. Now, there's no light that's going to cast a shadow coming from this way or coming from this way. I watched it physically move like this over to this window, and then back over to this window. Now, the story is with this dormitory, it was a medical dormitory, meaning people who belonged to like the medical squadrons for like working in the hospital and stuff. That was their dormitory. And apparently on the second floor, on the other side, the front part of the dormitory, there was a room, and a female airman was being assaulted by a ghost.
Ooh.
And we had our law enforcement, we had our police officers respond. They heard people crying and screaming for help coming from that room. People were trying to open the door. They couldn't open the door.
Oh.
So he gets up there. Now, it was a staff sergeant. He was a pretty jacked guy, from what I understand. He left a year before I got there. He went up into this door, and he's identifying himself. And he goes to kick the door in. He can't kick this door in. He's slamming his shoulder to it. He can't open the door. He's doing this for about 5 minutes. And just as he's getting ready to kick this door again, the door swings wide open. Something grabbed him by his chest and pushed him down the hallway.
Mm-mm.
And I don't know why they closed the building down, but they did. They started using it for storage. In the dormitory that I lived in, we had second floor, first main floor, and then the basement. In the basement, we had the laundry room, we had storage, we had the dorm manager's office, and then we had a huge like day room, entertainment room. And we had a pool table, we had a couple soda machines in there, a couple of vending machines, huge TV, a dartboard. It was a hangout area, like a day room. So I'm down there doing laundry. It's probably, I don't know, midnight, because I just got off of a mid shift. And so no one's down there. I'm going to do my laundry. Perfect time. I don't have to wait for anybody. No one has to wait for me. So I put all my stuff in the washer. And just as I put my basket on top of the washer, I hear like a rack of balls get broke on the pool table. Like someone started playing a game of pool. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I'll come down, I'll shoot some pool while my stuff's getting done. So I go and I shut the light off in the laundry room, and literally I walk out the doorway. I turn to the right. I walk maybe 5 steps, and then there's the day room. The door opens up. I go and go into the day room, and it's pitch black. The only thing you see is like the light coming from like one of the soda machines, right? And I'm like, someone's effing with me. So I turn the light on, and the pool table has no pool balls on it. Everything is where it's supposed to be when it's not being used. Everything. And I'm like, who the heck is messing with me? Now, I know nobody ran by me through the way I was coming, and there's another door on the other side, but it has one of those doors that if you push it, it's like one of those bars, and it makes this loud noise. Oh my gosh. 9 Mile King. I've known Dan since I was 12. I never grow tired of listening.
Agreed.
Who is this? Okay. Who is 9 Mile King? I know nobody up there knows, but this person you know since you're 12. How do I know you?
Now you gotta spill the beans.
I don't know. Oh my goodness. But anyway, you guys, that's crazy. Okay. If you got my number, text me. But anyway, so so that happened. There was another incident where there's a cemetery on the base. Now, not every single military base has a cemetery on it, but most Army posts do. F.E. Warren Air Force Base used to be an army post way back in the frontier days. Okay. And I was working law enforcement this night. I was working a mid shift, and they told me that I was going to be a relief officer, police 5. And what I did is I went up to the front gate. Hey, you guys need to walk around. You guys need to get a chow. Do you guys need to go to the bathroom? What do you guys need? I'll hook you up, right? I'll relieve you, let you guys do whatever. So I go up to the front gate, hang out there for a few moments, talk to him for a little bit, and then I start going doing my patrols. And I'm driving, and as I'm driving up towards where the cemetery is, I remember it was in November. There was about an inch, maybe an inch and a half of snow. The moon was either right before the full moon or right after the full moon. It was right in that phase, and it was super bright. And plus, it reflecting off of the snow made it even brighter. And so as I'm driving by, I look over and I see somebody standing in the cemetery.
Ugh.
And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I go and I pull up, park my cruiser. I get out, start walk through the gate. And I'm walking up, and I'm about 25, 30 feet from this person. And I look, and it's a female. And I go, ma'am. I go, it's like 1:30 in the morning. You can't be in here. And she didn't even acknowledge me, like I was not even there. So I took another step closer, and I go, ma'am, you can't be here. And that's when she turned and looked at me.
Ugh.
And she was wearing period clothing, like late 1800s, early 1900s. And it just looked like a normal lady.
Yep.
And I go, ma'am, you can't. And I took another step, and that's when I felt like something hit me in the face, like a breeze or a wind, and like wet.
Yep.
And I hear my radio going off. Police 5, this is control. Radio check. Police 5, this is control. Radio check. Police 5, copy for Police 5. Police 5, all secure. Copy that. Police 5. Police 5, all secure. Control out. Then I realize I'm laying on my back. I start doing a mental check. Can I move my toes? Can I move my arms? Can I move my neck, my back, things like that? I can. So I get up, and I have this intense bone aching chill in my body. And I'm standing there kind of confused, not understanding what's going on. And I look around, and I only see one set of prints. And those prints are mine. My body outline is laying in the snow. There's no prints walking away or out of the cemetery. The prints are only me walking into the cemetery. I kind of shake it off, stand there for a minute to make sure that I have my knees and feet underneath me, and I walk back to my cruiser. I get in my cruiser, I crank the heat on as high as I could, and I drove around for the rest of the night. Didn't want to stop anywhere. Didn't want to, because a lot of guys, you'll just sit in an area and you'll kind of just watch and stuff like that. I had to drive. I probably drove around that entire base 100 times, it seemed like, that the rest of that night. Never once did I ever report this incident to anybody because of what I worked around when I was in the military. I had a top secret clearance. I was on a program called the personal reliability program, which you had to be on if you worked around the resources that I worked around. For the next 2 to 3 days, I could not shake that chill that I had. I could not get warm. I could not put enough clothes on to get warm. I could not stand in a hot enough shower to get warm. And then it finally wore off. And I never said anything to anybody the entire time that I was in the military.
She gave you an attachment.
I didn't want it.
Yeah.
I didn't want it. Just like you, right back here, that's the type of attachment I want, is from my
Yeah.
nana. You know? But yeah, that's it. Those are some, and no, I'd love to, Curtis, but I made a promise to somebody that that I would not like truly cover any of the paranormal stuff other than my encounters, because I don't think there's any risk of anything attaching to me if they're my encounters, if I've had them in the they're my encounters. So I don't think that I'm in danger of anything attaching to me. It's just new encounters, new things like that I talk, people talk about. Because I don't know if anybody here knows, I had another podcast called The Paranormal Narrative, and it was doing okay. And I got one like in a week, I got a series of emails, more emails than I'd ever had, and a few of them were talking about demonic possession and poltergeists. Well, not poltergeist. Ouija boards, the occult, blood sacrifices. All this type of stuff that I did not want to talk about. Not that I want to talk about. I didn't want to talk about black magic. I didn't want to talk about witchcraft because I had a pretty crazy, and I'll tell you that in a second. But anyway, so I started getting all these emails, and I politely declined them. Just told them that's not really a subject that I want to talk about. Part of the paranormal. That's just one branch of the paranormal I didn't want to talk about. And then a couple of them were understanding. Another one sent me an email, and I kind of told them again. They understood, but there were two of them that got like literally threatening. We have a message. You need to have us on because we have to tell people what this message is. People need to understand. And this and this and this and this. And I was like, nope. And it got to where stuff was like really going off in my house. And I felt myself becoming a person I didn't want to become. I felt that I was getting very, very, very short with my wife and my grandchildren and my children. My wife even said, she goes, "You're not acting like you're not the same person. What's wrong with you? What's going on?" And I didn't have an answer. And after I deleted the podcast and deleted the email and everything attached to that, I walked around my house and I cleansed my house. I walked around with my Bible, said the Lord's Prayer, rebuked things, told them, you're not welcome here. You can't attach yourself to me or anybody who lives in my house or visits my house. So, and that's it. So that's
Some
it.
serious stuff.
And I think I'm glad because I caught it early enough and I saw it early enough what was going on that, I didn't want to deal with it. Now I said I was going to talk about something. I can't. Who asked me something up here? Daniel, paranormal episode. Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Got that going on. That's awesome. Who asked me something on here?
I think it was it another ghost encounter you had?
Yeah, I think it was, but I can't remember who was it. Said I'd talk about that after this one. Okay, if someone wanted to ask me a question or tell me another encounter, please drop it in. I can't believe it's 11:09.
We've been doing good. It's been
We have.
fun.
I mean, we had some great questions in here. Great interaction.
Yep.
Sherry. Okay, we blacked out there for a second.
I was gonna say, did I crash? I really
No,
thought I
well,
crashed.
I don't know if it was you or it was me saying connection is unstable, which I don't understand why, because I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm hardwired into my cable. So sent you an email on 2 hairy man encounters I've had. Okay,
Oh, heck yeah.
Robo, where are you from? Are you in the Pacific Northwest right now?
Now you sound like Mr. Roboto.
I sound like Mr. Roboto. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Where's the
Okay.
Bigfoot statue? 9 Mile King. Is that? I know who this is. This is Brad.
Thank you,
Here-
Kristen.
Here is the Bigfoot statue. Oh. Here is
The
the
mascot.
Bigfoot statue. There we go.
He's handsome.
Thanks. Now I just realized who it was. There you go. Yes. 9 Mile. I have known him since he's 12. I used to work with his mom. I used to dress up as Santa Claus at work for work functions.
Oh.
And so there's pictures of him and his younger brother probably sitting on my lap just to appease their mother. But, so the thing is this. Someone said, let's get back into the cryptid stuff. I'll tell you a real quick encounter that I had, if you haven't already heard this one. So I lived primarily when I lived in Washington, I lived west of the Cascades, Tacoma, Puyallup, Spanaway, Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, that whole area. And my uncle lived in Aberdeen, so we would go visit him all the time. Well, my dad wanted to teach me how to hunt. My dad wanted me to experience things he experienced around the same age. And so he says, hey, we're going to go to the hunting camp, and I want you to come out with us. I'm going to take you out there. I'm going to sit in a deer stand because I want you to understand, what the beginnings of hunting is. I'm like, cool. 7 years old, hanging out with my dad, my hero. How awesome is this going to be? So we drive to Aberdeen, load up with my uncle, and we drive like 2-3 hours away from Aberdeen. Down this, we turn off the main road, whatever it is. Again, I'm 7 years old. I don't remember it. I know we turn off on old logging road. We park and we hike about an hour into the woods to this place. Now, this place has already been, I'm sure they've been hunting here for years. And so we set up the tents. And the first day, my dad walked me up this about a half a mile path that went up to this clearing area. And there was this tree, and it had a deer stand up in it. Now, it wasn't like a store-bought deer stand. It was a homemade deer stand. And so we climbed up in there. My dad showed it to me and stuff, and he kind of gave me the breakdown. Behind here, behind it was a clearing, and then there was just maybe 20 yards wide, and then there was the wood line, and there were 2 game trails that came out from behind the tree stand, and they intersected in front of the tree stand about 25-30 feet. And one that came from left moved down right, went down this little game trail, whatever, and then it went down this little hill to where the stream was. The other one that went from right to left, it went down towards the path that we would take up, but then it veered off up to the left and then went back up and around. It looked like it went up in the woods behind us. So the next day we get up And it's not really super dark outside. It's early, but you can kind of barely see like that little bit of says, I do not care if the men in black want to come knocking on my door. I don't care. So they go and uh, uh he takes me up and we're sitting in the stand, all the safety, use the rope to pull up the firearm, his knapsack, and I'm sitting up there and my dad's looking through his knapsack and he says something like, "Oh crap, I left such and such. He needed something, he left it at the camp." So he goes, "Stay here. You're going to be fine. There's nothing out here. You're going to be perfectly fine. I'll be right back. I'll run down the camp and I'll come back." I'm like, "Okay, not a problem." I trusted my dad, So I'm sitting in this deer stand. And again, it's dark, but you can still see. It's like that, I don't know, pre-dawn light. And I've got my left foot kind of stretched out and kind of hanging off a little bit off the stand. Well, I start getting crazy. And I get crazy, but getting sleepy. And I just kind of put my hands like this, and I just kind of tuck my head down, and I started nodding off. Well, about the time I felt like I was getting ready to fall asleep, that one little moment right before you hit that deep REM sleep, my boot jerks. And I thought it was me falling asleep. You know how you jerk sometimes when you fall asleep. But I looked down and my boot's untied.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm 7 years old. Now I'm getting a little scared. But I tie my boot and I put my boot back. I put my foot up a little bit and I'm listening. Now it's getting a little lighter. And I start nodding off again. Same thing. Just get to that point where I'm getting ready to fall asleep. Boom. My boot jerks again. And I look down and it's untied again. And I'm like, "Dad, stop it." Right? I'm thinking my dad's down below me and he's reaching up. Okay. My dad's not going to reach up. My dad's not going to reach up. Why is my dad not going to reach up? Because this deer stand is like 10 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet, something like that up in this tree. So I'm like, okay. So I tie my boot and now I'm watching. And now it's getting lighter and I'm watching and I'm watching. Next thing you know, I hear this loud crack. And I don't know if it's rocks getting slapped together or something snapping the Ian, there you go. Hold on. I'll tell you. But it caught my attention. So I shot my head to the right. And when I did, my boot jerked again. And now I clearly see that my boot is untied. So I stand up and I'm flipping out. I'm screaming. I'm losing my mind. I'm yelling at my dad. And I see my dad sprinting up this hill. And he's like, shut up. You're not going to see deer. I said, "You're scaring me. You untied my boot." He's like, "I didn't." "Daniel, what are you talking about?" "Dad, you untied my boot 3 times. I know you did it. Why are you trying to scare me?" He's like, whoa. Calm down. What's going on? So I told him. And so now it's daylight. It's probably 7 a.m. So then I go, "Oh no, you're good, buddy. You're good, Ian." I'm standing up and I'm hugging the tree so I can see my dad, what he's doing behind the tree. Now my dad's a Vietnam vet. Okay. So he starts walking back and forth in like a grid pattern. And he stops and he kneels down and he touches something on the ground. He gets up and he looks towards the tree line. And when he starts walking up towards the tree line, he stops. And he really quickly unshoulders his rifle and gets it in the ready position. And then he goes like that. And he's looking and he's kind of moving it back and forth. And all of a sudden I hear, "Daniel, get out of the tree right now. Get out of the tree." So I'm kind of like still looking and he comes walking back and he sees me up in the tree. So he goes, "I said, get out of the effing tree right now." So I climb down real quick. He goes, "Run back to camp right now. run. Don't stop. Just keep running. I'll be right behind you. So I take off down the trail, and my dad's now again looking back at the tree line. And I stop, and he turns around. He sees me stop. He goes, "I told you to effing run back to camp." So I take off running. I hear my dad coming behind me, and then I hear my dad stop. So I stop. And we do this back and forth. And every time he catches him, he loses his mind. So we get back into camp. And as we get back into camp, I see my uncle. And my dad is pissed. He goes up, "What the hell are you doing? Messing with He's like, "What do you mean? You were messing." He's like, "Dean, I literally just got back to camp from where I was at." He goes, "Bud, it's too warm out here. We're not going to see anything. If there's anything moving around, it's not going to be what we're looking for." So my dad goes, "We're leaving." And he packed up camp, got back to the truck, and left. Now, what do I think it was, you guys? At that time, I had no knowledge of what Bigfoot was. None. No clue. Bigfoot was not even in my vocabulary, was not even in my thought process. It was not. Now, as long as I've been in this community and I've been doing a lot of research and checking things out, hearing things, seeing things, listening to other people's encounters, it is what it is. You can call it a Sasquatch if you want. I believe that's what it was, but I am not going to come out and say I knew 100% that's what it was. So, and then Ian asked this question. You said you seen one Bigfoot. So I was asking, you didn't see the creature when you were with your brother, but saw one camping when you were with your dad. No. So when we were driving home from Tacoma, my dad, it was late at night. My dad and I saw one as we were driving down this gravel road to get to our place. My little brother was in the back seat sleeping. The encounter that I had with my brother, I didn't see anything, but I heard it. My brother saw it when it crossed behind me because I'm looking at my brother, looking at the road towards where we were parked, where the parking lot was, and my brother was standing facing me, looking down behind me, and it crossed behind me about, 50 yards behind me. It ran across the street, and my brother said it was massive, bigger than anything he's ever seen, and it was quick. He said if he would not have been paying attention, he would have seen it run across the street. That's how fast it was. But so my brother and I, we did have encounters in the same area where I saw my sighting, and where I had my sighting, because he had encounters with the two juveniles that were part of that family unit. He said he saw them a couple times, but not super clear like I saw the female. And his interactions where he would throw like tennis balls or baseballs out into the woods and hoping they would throw them back, but they just picked them up and I guess walked off with them, because he said he would go out and look for those tennis balls or baseballs, and he never saw them again.
Yep.
So
they love playing games.
Oh yeah, Ray, absolutely. I think it was playing with me, but I'll tell you right now, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
When you think about it. And I don't think it was being facetious, but again, like someone said way earlier in the podcast that, in the live, that we all have had encounters one way, shape, or the other. Some have had bad encounters with bad ones, and some of us had good encounters with good ones. And again, I think it's what it is. I've heard stories at park rangers, cryptid kill squads on Dixie cryptids. I've heard that as well. I've heard special forces. I've heard Green Berets go out and hunt them.
Same.
I have a cousin that's a Green Beret. I'm going to reach out to him and see if that's true. He probably won't talk about it, but I'll ask him. So they control the populations. I don't think that there's a lot of them out there. I bet you within the continental United States, I'm willing to guess maybe fewer than 10,000. Quite possibly. maybe less. So, all right. Is there any further questions from anybody? You guys, we've been on 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. We've been on almost 3 hours. Cameras. What about cameras? What's the deal with cameras? Why can they? Honestly, I think they have the ability to see the IR light
Same.
that comes out of the cameras, or there somehow they can sense like the electric magnetic or whatever the through the batteries or whatever.
Yep.
There's something that they can feel that or sense that. What are your thoughts on a three-toed Sasquatch? You mean the Legend of Boggy Creek?
Mhm.
That creature? That was a scary movie when I was a kid when I saw it.
I think it's possible.
Oh, absolutely.
You have these things running around in different terrains, and they're just, they might be bigger and stronger than we are, but they still have the similar anatomy. And who's to say that one didn't have a very nice day and got some toes cut off?
Yeah. Momo has 3 toes. I've heard Momo. What is Momo? Is it a Sasquatch?
Momo is the Missouri monster.
Now, now I got to look into that too.
Yep.
But see, you guys, I've also heard that they find tracks that have 6 toes. Now, when I say that, I hear people going to say, it's the Nephilim. It's the Nephilim. You guys, here's the thing. And I'm not right, but I'm not wrong. I do not believe that Sasquatch has anything to do with the Nephilim at all. That is my opinion only. I'm not here to try to push my opinion on anybody. I think it is a flesh and blood creature. I think they bleed. I think that if there's some way, shape, or form that, I think they're intelligent enough that they have. Okay, Sabrina hit on it though. There is folklore. There is stories. Now, Native American history was not written. It was told from person to person. Way back when, they would look at children, and if they had the ability or their child looked like the child was intelligent and had the ability to do certain things before other kids could, that kid was raised and groomed to become the tribal historian, so to speak. Yep. And they were trained to tell the story to the letter. There was no embellishment on it. This is what it was. And like you said, there were stories that they would walk among us.
Yep.
They would hunt with us. They would trade with us. They would, all of that stuff. So, again, I tend to believe that. Again, 6 toes, fingers, 2 rows of teeth. That sounds like the giant of Kandahar. So that's a crazy story. I'm going to see if I can get more information on that, you guys. The giant of Kandahar, 6 toes and fingers and 2 rows of teeth. But what's funny is Andre the Giant, even though he did have 5 fingers and 5 toes, there were rumors going around that he had 2 rows of teeth. And again, that was completely false and lied. But it was the whole story with the mystique around him. There's also a theory that skinwalkers could be responsible for several cryptids. What do you mean?
There is a technical, so I hate even saying it. So another word for them is Yannies. Since I'm indigenous, I don't like saying the actual word for them, but they are a Dene, which is Navajo story, but they have switched over to like Appalachian folklore and different tribal folklores and things like that. But when you break it down, you could literally say like the Wendigo is one of those, Dogman is one of those. So it's like almost every cryptid that has like some kind of weird unknown, even Bigfoot has, some kind of unknown, like if you do something wrong or you do witchcraft, black magic, voodoo, or they even say like cannibalism, you would turn into one of those. So it's like different. Every indigenous Native American story has like a little bit of a bleed down into different aspects of cryptids. Excuse me. Yeah.
See, someone just put something up. I have to write it down. The Beast of Bladensboro. I'm definitely going to look at that. So, yeah, I wish I knew more about the whole Native American. I will tell you though, my oldest brother, knows a tribal elder with a tribe in California who is willing to talk to me about the hairy man and their beliefs.
Oh, I love that.
And I am excited to see if he'll come on the show and be interviewed. Look at Steamboat talking about the Rougarou.
Rougarou.
The Rougarou. I've had friends that seen skinwalkers and they're pure evil. I believe that.
Yeah.
I so believe that skinwalkers, and my daughter freaks out when I'll say skinwalker. I'll say it like 4 or 5 times. Stop saying it that many times.
I'm also that way. It freaks me out when you say it.
But yeah, I mean, seriously, if there's a skinwalker, skinwalker that tries to come into my house, it's I'm sorry, game over for him.
It's so, I'll tell you really quick. There's a story. When we first moved into this house, there's a mound like 2 minutes down the road, and it was fall like 3 years ago, and I had the window open and we were sleeping, and I kid you not, I heard a whistle outside my window, and it was not like a bird whistle. It was like really weird, and the whole back part of our property is nothing but like 10 empty acres of like nothing but woods. And it scared me so bad. And that's one of the things that they talk about, like they attribute to that. Like if you hear the whistle in the middle of the night, you're not supposed to whistle back. You're not supposed to have any acknowledgement of that. And I got so scared. I got up and I slammed my window shut and I pulled the curtains closed, and I don't know what the heck it was, but like that's one of the things, like I won't say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know.
Well, it's funny, you talk about whistling outside. So I'll tell you guys 2 stories that my dad had. And again, if anybody here who hasn't or new to the channel, if you go back and see any of my other interviews with Josh from Mysteries Unknown, I get emotional. I actually cry. I'm not ashamed to cry because I lost 2 I lost 3 very, very close, important people to me in the span of 2.5 years. My dad, I lost him in 2014. I lost my little brother, who was 42 when he passed away in 2016. And then I lost my mom 10 months later in 2017. So my dad was born in Hood River, Oregon. At age 5, they moved up to Ketchikan, Alaska. Mr. Duffy, what's up, brother? I know who you are. But anyway, so my dad was about 15, 16 years old. He went, well, first let me preface it this way. So when I was about 15, 16 years old, my dad had a party at our house on the lake, and he had a bunch of people over, and one of his friends had told him that he believes he has somebody messing around in his woods behind his house. They scream at night. They make weird noises at night. They're breaking limbs, breaking trees, things like that, right? And so my dad kind of knew what it was. Now, we've already saw the Sasquatch, by this time. So I tuned in because this is going so long. I had to see what you guys were talking. We're talking about anything and everything, brother. So we go, and my dad starts talking about, and somebody in here mentioned the Otter Man, aka the Kushtaka out of Alaska. And so my dad started telling us about this Otter Man, and I started laughing. I laughed. I'm telling you, big belly laugh, bend over, slap my knee laughing, right? And I looked at my dad, and my dad was stone serious. Stone serious. He looked at me. He goes, "Stop laughing." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "I'm telling you, if you would listen to the elders from the Haidas and Tlinkits up there in Alaska, they'll tell you about the Kushtaka, the Otter Man, and it's absolutely terrifying." And I go, yeah. He goes, well, I'll tell you. He goes, I had an encounter when I was like 15 or 16 years old. We had our property and we had cut wood, and we had wood stacked out in the woods, so we would bring it up, when we needed it. So he goes through his backyard, down this path through the woods. Now the woods were not dense. You could pretty much see through them. And as he's walking down this path to where he knows there's a bunch of wood that they had stacked up after cutting it, he was going to go and just make a couple trips back and forth to bring it. And as he's coming up, he sees this man literally just walk in front of him out of nowhere. Like, he has no clue where this guy came from. And he looked kind of disheveled. Hair was kind of unkempt. And as he's walking, my dad was whistling as he's going through the woods. And the guy stopped, and my dad stopped. And all the guy said to my dad was, do you got a cigarette or tobacco or something like that? And my dad kind of looked at him, and I think my dad was also going out there to smoke a cigarette, because he said he smoked since he was 12. So he goes out there and he pulls out a couple cigarettes and he gives it to the guy. And the guy takes the cigarettes and kind of nods at him and walks right past my dad. And my dad stopped because he started walking away, but he stopped because the guy goes, "Hey, you shouldn't whistle in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You need to listen to what I just said." And so my dad turned around and looked at him, and the guy didn't look back at my dad. He just walked down this path and then turned a sharp left into the woods. And he says it looked like he just disappeared. Like it was gone. And that freaked my dad out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one that really scared my dad the most was, I want to say he was either going to basic training or he was going to Vietnam. Oh, Renee, absolutely. They're good Kushtaka accounts. I know. They're tricksters. They're shapeshifters. So my dad went hunting, and I remember him. I thought he said elk. I later called my old roommate who lived with my dad and I, and was at that party when my dad told this. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Krista, thank you so much. Thank you. Daniel looks like the kind of guy that would pick you up in a helicopter when you thought you were about to die. Absolutely, I would. But so my dad goes, I'm driving down this logging road, and I see, again, I thought it was elk. It turned out to be mule deer. I saw these mule deer come off this hill, run across the road and down another hill, down to a ravine, and then coming back up on the other ridge. So when my dad saw the last deer run across, he gets out of his vehicle and he has his rifle. He takes off running. He gets down and he takes out his binoculars. He starts glassing this ridge that's across from him, right? And he sees the mule deer, but as he's going from right to left, he wants to kind of see how spread out they are, and if there's one he wants to take out. As he's coming back this way, he sees something bolting, moving really fast from the left towards the right, and he just caught a glimpse of it. So he moved back, and now he sees it. And he says, and I quote, "It was the biggest effing wolf I had ever seen." He goes, "This thing was so black. If it was nighttime, you would never see it." And he goes, "I'm watching this wolf, and it's moving up towards where these deer were moving up this ridge." And he goes, all of a sudden it stops it stands up and puts his hand on the tree and starts sniffing the air, right? Starts sniffing the air. And he goes, all of a sudden, it just goes like this. It goes,
Mm-mm.
and it looks right at him. And he sniffs again and shows his teeth. And then it just dropped down to all fours and started coming for him. Now, as my dad's trying to glass it, he goes, it came down and it was moving so quick. He goes, I lost it like in the brush. You're falling asleep?
No. Ash, you're going to get me in trouble. No.
So he's afraid that this thing's moving faster than he thinks it is. And if it's moving as fast as he thinks it is, him with his binoculars is not going to have time to grab his rifle. So he grabs his rifle real quick and starts scoping down. And he moves back and forth and he sees it. And it's coming up the ridge he's at the top of now. And he glasses in and he's getting ready to take a shot. And it thing sees him. And it stops and shows his teeth again. About that time, one of these deer made a noise and it broke its concentration. It turned, looked at my dad again, looked where the deer were, and then took off running up towards the deer. Got down the ravine, back up about halfway up the other side of the ridge, stood back up on its feet, on its legs, put its hand up, looked at my dad again, showed his teeth, did not drop down on all fours and take off. It sprinted the hill that it sprinted up. I'll try to give you guys an angle. It was probably like that. And it sprinted on two legs right up that hill, up and over the crest of that thing. So my dad, I asked, I go, well, what was it? Because again, I was 15 or 16 when he told me this story. I'd never heard of Dogman.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. And my dad, to the day that he died, believed he saw a werewolf.
Yep.
A flesh and blood werewolf. And he was terrified of him. Terrified. If my dad saw a big dog, no, my dad said, oh, we need to go this way. Hated him. So that was it.
That's so scary. And that's so similar to like what I told you about my encounter with whatever the heck that
hold a second. Ray, that was in Ketchikan, Alaska.
Mm.
So what you were saying?
Just that big, whatever it was that was just bigger than any possible. It was either a wolf or it never stood up on two legs. That's what I was telling you, but it was just bigger than anything I've ever seen. And, I know my dogs and it was just.
Yeah. Your
like
big Newfoundland.
Yeah. It was like twice the size of my biggest one. And it was blacker than black.
Well, I told you, like, when we were coming back from Michigan, God, when was it? It was a couple of years ago because my son has been there for like 3 years now. And I want to say it was like later in the year, like November, September, November, something like that, October. As we go through the UP, Upper Peninsula, and we were just west of Escanaba. Like we had just driven through Escanaba, and we were maybe a mile or two outside of Escanaba.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And it was foggy for some reason. Not like a thick fog, but it was there. I mean, if I turned my brights on, it would blind me. Mm-hmm. So I just kept my driving lights on. And I saw something moving from right to left up in front of me. And I'm like, what the heck? So instinctively, I just turned my brights on again. And again, it washed everything. I couldn't see it. So I put everything back on. And I go, what the hell is that? And I look at my wife. My wife is out. She's snoozing. And I didn't want to wake her up, but I did want to wake her up. So I keep, oh my gosh.
Ray,
Oh my gosh, man. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Look at Ray. What is that? 25, 30 gifted memberships? Oh my gosh, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So what do you think I'm seeing? I'm seeing literally the biggest, blackest wolf I have ever personally seen in my life. And to tell you the truth, this is the first wolf I've ever seen in the wild.
Yeah.
I've never seen a wolf outside of a zoo or a sanctuary ever.
Oh
my
Robo.
gosh, Robo.
You guys
my
are so
dude.
nice tonight.
Hey, what's up, Carl? Man, you guys, I cannot thank you guys enough. I really, really can't. Hey, Lawrence, what's up, man? You guys, we're going on 3 hours and 15 minutes. We're staying till dawn, baby. Thank you so much, Robo. Appreciate you, man. More than you know, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So I'm looking at this wolf, and you guys, when I say it was the biggest wolf I've ever seen, if I pulled my truck, I drive a 2014 Chevy Silverado crew cab Z71 four-wheel drive. It's got a little lift on it. Not big, maybe like an inch or two. It came that way. If this thing wanted to, if it walked up, it would put its chin easily on the hood of my truck and look at me right in the eyes. I'm not talking jumping up on its hind legs and resting its paws up there. It would walk up. This is the hood of my truck and go.
That's a big wolf.
And I looked at that thing, and it stopped right in the middle of the road. Like, I'm right here. What are you going to do? And it just kind of walked off, looked at me, and just kind of walked off, went down off the side of the road, and then off into the woods.
It just wanted a ride.
Holy shit, I'm telling you. I mean, that thing was amazing. And I'll tell you, it took everything in my body not to open my truck door, get out, and try to hug this dog. Hug. Can I pet that dog?
I know.
I'm telling you, it was beautiful. It was a magnificent looking animal. So, yeah, am I saying it's a dog, man? No, I'm just saying it was so huge. Carl, I'll be right back. I'm getting my pew-pew. So, hey, Renee, this is a night to remember. I mean, holy smokes, man. I got people gifting memberships and dropping super chats and just, you guys, I can't thank you guys enough. I had no idea this was going to happen. Like, for real, I didn't. I figured I'd have maybe 20, 30 people on, and
Hillary.
And we were just going to hang out. It's like, who's a good boy?
Yeah.
I only do German Shepherds, and I've only done German Shepherds, but if I saw a big wolf like that or a dog, man, I'd probably look at him. What's up, big boy? And probably, yep, I probably would have too. Yeah, absolutely. So, but like I was telling Sabrina one time, when I was a kid, because I have native blood in me, I had to go like this class, like once a week. I had to go to this class to learn about my heritage, and then at the end of the year, we went to some type of celebration. I don't want to call it the wrong way. I don't want to call it the wrong thing, like a powwow or whatever. But we went to something, and I had to stand before these elders, and they smudged me. Is that what it's called?
They'll smudge you.
Yeah, and it's all this smoke, and they were like, whoa, you got something special. I'm like, oh, well, you have two spirit animals. On one hand, you have the wolf. On the other hand, you have the bear. Now, I don't know what that signifies, but okay. And they gave me a native name, but
you can't remember.
I know, that sucks so
bad. And that's so sad.
They'd have probably said, stupid.
No.
Stupid scrawny boy, something like that. He who does not eat not much. Boy, little did they know.
It still sticks Okay, I gotta give Steamboat a shout out. Give Steamboat a shout out. You're so sweet.
No, don't give him nothing. No, just kidding.
But it does stick with you, and that that is technically a type of ceremony, in that no matter whether you remember it or not, that's been given to you, and your ancestors know, and your line knows, and that'll stick with you for forever.
Native names would change throughout their lives given the experiences that they went through. So it's okay to give yourself a new name now, Daniel. My spirit animal is the dung beetle. So Robo says dung beetle. Ashes says my spirit animal is a pig because I eat like one.
Sherry says hers is a turtle.
That's cool. See, everybody, and my little brother, his was a bull, like a buffalo. So, I mean, okay, I guess that's what it is. But all right, you guys, should I go until midnight? Because it's almost 1 where you're at. So can you hang for 10 more minutes?
I can hang for 10 more minutes.
Can you guys hang for 10 more minutes? If you guys want to bounce out, you can bounce out. That smile, though.
Oh,
Listen,
Lord.
Steamboat, bro, you are putting it on thick, man. You need to simmer down, bro. You need to go take a cold shower, partner.
My native name is actually Screeching Fox.
You shouldn't have told him that. You shouldn't have told anybody that. You shouldn't.
It's okay.
You should not, because now Steamboat, he's gonna. Oh man, listen.
Oh goodness,
Steamboat, my brother. You know I'm gonna. Oh, bro, I got your phone number, man. They are pumping me. They're pumping me up. Oh, Steamboat.
I was gonna think about Screeching Fox.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What? You know what? This live is, oh my, look at Ray. I just want to say, Ray, thank you so much. I want to say thank you for the channel. I've been listening to all your videos while I'm driving over the road, especially because I do 11 hours or more. It's been a pleasure listening to your videos.
Oh,
Ray, thank you so much.
yeah.
I don't know if you were in the room when I said I'm going to be cutting down the amount of episodes that I release. I'm not going to be doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday anymore. I'm going to be doing a Wednesday for sure, possibly a Friday. And then I plan on it. If you guys want it, if you're not a member of my channel, the Cryptid Podcast on YouTube, not a member, but if you're not a subscriber, go to that, please. The Cryptid Podcast on YouTube, hit subscribe, and that way you have access to the community tab. And what I'm going to do is post, hopefully, my schedule. Man, Sir Dung Beetle Robo does it again. Let's keep going. Look at this. Holy smokes. But I'm thinking about, and if you guys want this, and I'll put a poll, but I'll take just a poll here right now. I'm thinking about doing a live every Saturday. And I think Sabrina has submitted herself as one of my co-hosts. So I think it'll be Sabrina and I, and then if we want to bring on another co-host, they'll be the regular co-host. I think we have one more person. So at any given time, I could have 4 people on the screen. Because I think if Taylor was not traveling, that she would be here with us tonight.
She would, yeah.
So I can't. Yeah. So you guys, I just can't say thank you enough. I think I could tune in Saturdays on the regular. That'd be great. So if you guys would like to see a Saturday live every Saturday, give me a big 1 or a big 2. Oh, look at Robo. Saturday is perfect. So 4 people is manageable. I've seen some. Yeah, I don't want to do like 12 people on here. What was that? What was that? Do you have a bird?
No, that was him in the background. You should not even be able to hear him. He is literally halfway across the house. I'm so
Was that your husband? What did he say? It sounded like you went ack ack.
He's laughing. He's playing Call of Duty back there. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastic.
I'm gonna kick his ass.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. So does anybody else have anything they would like me to talk on, or Affleck? Exactly. Well, I heard ack like with the Martians where they kill what's his name? You know what I'm talking about, when Mars attacks or something like that. The aliens ack.
Oh
Well,
my
what
god.
you know what? Here, why don't you tell us a couple of your encounters that these people probably haven't heard? Our
Oh my
lovely
goodness.
listeners are well, I'll tell you right now, as many freaking memberships that Ray's been slinging out to people, I think everybody in here now is possibly a member. They're part of the Cryptid crew. What's your husband's name?
David.
Hey, David, thank you so much, buddy.
I'm gonna have to. That's the funniest.
That is great.
Dude, I did not think you would pick that up.
Oh,
I'm talking like literally, like I'm at the bar right now because I knew he'd be so loud, and I was like, I'm gonna sit here. So there's like the bar and the dining room. There's a hallway, the bedrooms, the living room, and then 2 bedrooms in the back. So he's like all the way at the very end.
You see what
My girlfriend.
you're a goofball. Mars Attacks. That's the movie. Steamboat Man, bro, you need to calm down. You know what? Since you called me by my middle name, Eric,
Ooh.
you need to knock it off.
Ooh. We don't use full government names here.
Someone goes, Tony. Haha, I remember his middle name. I remember it. Daniel Tony.
Tony?
Yeah, haha, that's a joke. LOL. Well, middle name's Anthony, so. But yeah. So why don't you tell us like 1 or 2 of your encounters, something that just kind of sticks out that you loved it when people ask. This like, oh, you got to hear this one.
Oh, goodness gracious. There's been so many well, my Kentucky encounter has always been my favorite. That one's just absolutely, for those listening who haven't heard this story, I'll shorten it, make it sweet. But 2019, Daniel Boone, we were at a friend's cabin and we had just an amazing night. What sounded like a Native American ceremony in the woods, whistling, like repetitive whistling, copycat whistling, orbs. Eventually everything calmed down and we had something come in within 20 feet of us. A thermal didn't pick it up. The flashlight didn't pick it up. It was probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me. We ran inside the cabin like little babies. I've had rocks thrown at my head. Such precision. That's just, when you think of these things when you're out there in the woods, you don't really realize, like, people be like, oh, these things are dumb or they're just an animal, and it's not like that. These things it's like playing chess. They're 2 steps ahead. Just to be able to throw a rock at any distance in the dark, let alone with such precision, it's not normal. It's not just an animal, it's like a bear, because my father-in-law, he'll be like, oh, it was a bear, and I'm like, bears don't throw rocks. Like, it's not something they do. That's not possible. They don't have like full hands, to grip. And so, and I've also been zapped by, well, we call it zapped, but and I'm drawing a blank here for what they say. It's big cats have it. It's the infrasound. Infrasound. I don't know. Have I told you this story before yet or not?
No.
So 2 years ago, we were actually sitting at one of our hot spots and we were having like a lot of activity, and we started to have these rocks come down. I think we agitated them a little too much that night. Excuse me. And so we were having these crazy rocks come down. We're sitting in our circle, and one of the ladies in our group, they've had, before I joined the group, they had like a crazy night, I guess, where they had like a lot of rocks that were bombarded. So she's kind of like real leery when we have rocks thrown. So we were having like a ton of little rocks thrown, little medium rocks, and one ended up landing on top of Mike's Jeep. So everybody's like just absolutely excited, like, we're going to tag and bag this rock. And they're all huddled at the front of the Jeep talking and whispering. And this other lady, she's kind of hunched down in her chair next to me. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to check on her, make sure she's okay. And so I get up, and I mean, she's probably within like literally we're sitting right next to each other. So I get up out of my chair and I'm standing next to her, and she's hunkered down, and we're talking about why she doesn't like the rocks. And out of nowhere, my legs just gave out. And I could not use my legs. And this is probably one of the scariest things that's ever, I've been Bigfooting for 4 or 5 years now. And this is probably one of the things that really shook me the most. But I dropped to the ground. My legs would not work. And it felt like I had just ran a 10-mile marathon. And I instantly went into panic mode, and I started screaming for Mike because I didn't know who else to really. I was like, I can't physically get up. So Mike and one of the other guys in our group, his name is Mac, they held to help me up, and they actually had to literally drag me over to the car to sit down. And my legs, it just like, when you like sit on your legs for too long and they're like tingly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like. And they were like, I wasn't sitting at a weird angle. I wasn't standing with my legs locked or anything like that. And they were talking about the infrasound and being zapped. And I actually sat in the car for about 40 minutes and I cried. And it scared me that bad. And Mac came up and he was like, you can't let this, I get a little nervous when I think about it, but he was like, you can't let them beat you like this. It's all right. And I didn't go out with them for maybe like 2 months afterwards because it just scared me. It scared me that bad to not just, to lose the use of my legs. It scared the life out of me.
Okay. Okay, Ray. Yes, I've heard of cat people, and I find it fascinating. I'm still looking for more information on them. Honestly, I'm looking for what they're called. I've heard just recently, in the last month, I've heard like 2 or 3 mentions of cat people. So I don't know if it's like, are they like Dogman or like Bigfoot? What's the whole deal with that? But I'm definitely gonna look into it when I find more information. Not like Carol Baskins, you goof. I'm going to I'm gonna see if I can get a show going. Just an episode like a live for the cat people. Thank you so much for bringing that in. I live in San Antonio, Texas. I had a paranormal event happen when I was in high school in my house. The last episode of Sasquatch Chronicles. Okay, I'll look at that as well. Hey, Richard, what I don't really cover paranormal on my channel. I made a promise to a couple of very, very dear people that I love and respect very much that I'm not going to bring covering other people's paranormal encounters. Some of them had some really bad experiences with paranormal. I had a paranormal podcast. I deleted it because I was getting unwanted attention, and then I felt things were attaching to me, and so I wanted to get rid of all that stuff. So I made a solemn promise, and I don't mind sharing my encounters. It's just I won't cover other people's encounters as guests. So, but again, I appreciate you being on the show tonight, and I hope that doesn't deter you from coming back and checking out the show from time to time when I drop a new episode or I have a Saturday live. So, you guys, we have been on for 3 hours, 33 minutes. I cannot thank you guys enough. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for all the support. All of you guys out there that have, Ashes, Ray, Renee, let's see here. Who else we got here? Robo. You guys, thank you so much. 9 Mile King, thank you so much. Krista, you guys, I can't thank you guys enough. I really, really can't. Thank you so much for the love that you showed the channel. Thanks for being so active in our lives. It's, you guys, 3 hours and 34 minutes, and we're sitting at 50 people watching.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Again, you guys, if you've had an encounter or you know someone's had an encounter and they'd like to come on the show, please have them send me, or you guys send me an email to the Cryptid Podcast 72@gmail.com. The Cryptid Podcast 72@gmail.com. What time is it? It is 12:04 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you guys don't want to be on the show, but you'd like to still share your encounter with me, I would definitely love to hear your story, and I'll safeguard that. Remember, I'm trying to build a safe community for everybody who's ever had an encounter and just feel that they need to get it off their chest and know that, you know what, you're not crazy. You're not anything but normal, because a lot of people have endured the same things that you guys have.
Yep.
So you got anything to say before I sign off?
Nope. Just well, I guess thanks for everybody being here and supporting Daniel, and that's what I'm here doing. And we all know that Daniel's a great guy and he's got a heart of gold. And just thanks for being here, interacting, and hopefully we will continue to see you guys in the chat while he goes live.
Listen, Eric, you need to stop it, brother. You guys,
I appreciate it. I do. I really do.
Hillary, thanks for stopping by again. I always love seeing you in the chat. You guys, thank you so much for everything you guys do. Remember, as my buddy Josh always says, oh, tales told in the dark. Oh, buddy, I'm getting ready to close out for the night. But thank you for popping in so much. I thank you. But as my buddy Josh Smith from Mysteries Unknown always says, everybody stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, remember, a legend always starts with a sighting. You guys have a great night. Thank you for everything you guys done tonight and in the future. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?